Apocalypse begins by copying Magneto, controlling the magnetic field. This video is purely for entertainment and does not infringe on copyrights or laws. 50 don't like waiting and want to listen to this fanfic in full now. Subscribe to our Patreon, where you'll find the best fanfics. Chapter 1, Copy the Magnetic Field Control. Jingle bell early in the morning. The piercing alarm clock rang. Almost instantly a figure sat up suddenly, and his left hand quickly touched his side point, but it was empty. Grass. Where's my gun? Chu Xiu's voice just fell. A lazy voice came from the side. What gun? Playing PUBG and playing magic? Hearing the sound, Chu Xiu instantly tightened his muscles and instinctively assumed a defensive posture. The next second, he was stunned. What comes into view is a standard 4-person bedroom. The person who was speaking was just across from him, wrapped in a quilt with his head exposed. I'm swiping my phone very seriously. He didn't even turn his head. I didn't tell you, Chu Xiu. You kid is really good at cooking and playing. When it was dark last night, your 98k, 4 shots in a row, was outrageous. The man's voice just fell. Another voice sounded beside him. Oh, with your broken marksmanship, how dare you talk about Chu Xiu? With 30 rounds of ammunition in the magazine, you missed a shot in the face. Is it something you did? No. Can you stop talking about this? I'm back before the end. Looking at the familiar and unfamiliar bedroom in front of me, I listened to 2 voices that had long been blurred in my memory. Chu Xiu gradually realized his situation. I seem to be reborn. Back before all disasters happened. Zao. What month is it today? Chu Xiu wanted to call his roommate's name, but he had already forgotten his name. April 2nd. What's wrong? April 2nd. Hearing this answer, Chu Xiu's expression suddenly became solemn. It's today. Disaster is coming. A crack in time and space suddenly all appeared over the world. An unknown element leaked out of it. Cover the world! 75% of the world's human beings lose their minds under the influence of this element. Become a zombie who only knows how to bite living things. The rest of the humans hid, relying on thermal weapons to barely survive. But the good times don't last long. Not long after the zombies appeared, a large number of terrifying beasts and monsters emerged from the cracks in time and space. Although there are some awakeners with innate abilities among human beings, they are scarce in number and their strengths are uneven, making it impossible to compete with the massive beasts and monsters. Soon, mankind will come to the moment of survival. What's the use of being born again? Not an ordinary person without supernatural powers, recalling all kinds of things before his rebirth. A hint of helplessness flashed in Chu Xiu's eyes. That's right. He is not the 1 in a million gifted awakener, but an ordinary person. Later, although it has been strengthened by genetic medicine, it is only a slightly stronger miscellaneous soldier. You can only fight zombies and deal with some of the lowest level beasts. But with the memory of my past life, in this life, I should be able to live a little longer. Chu Xiu smiled bitterly and glanced at the roommate opposite him inadvertently. At this time, a set of translucent virtual figures suddenly appeared in front of Chu Xiu. Name: Cheng Bings*X. Male. Talent: none. Looking at the data that suddenly appeared, Chu Xiu was slightly taken aback. His eyes turned to the other roommate. Name: Zao Wenys*X. Male. Talent: magnetic field control. Unawakened. Ding. Reproducible objects found. This is the system? After being stunned for a while, Chu Xiu immediately reacted. Before the disaster, Chu Xiu had read a lot of online novels and naturally knew what the system was. System? What function do you have? Chu Xiu said in his heart. System? System. There was always silence in response to Chu Xiu. Isn't it lack of intelligence? Chu Xiu frowned, then realized something, and said in his heart. System, I want to copy. An error occurred. The distance from the target is too far, and the copy fails. Distance is too far? Chu Xiu looked at his roommate who was less than 5 meters away from him, thought for a moment, got up and walked to the other side. What's the matter, Chu Xiu? Fine, Zao. When I glanced at Chu Xiu in surprise, seeing Chu Xiu shaking his head, he continued to play with his phone. Copy. Now, standing. Besides Ao when Iu, Chu Xiu continued. An error occurred. The distance from the target is too far, and the copy fails. Snapped. Seeing this, Chu Xiu put his hand on Zhao Wenyi's shoulder without saying a word. The Krillin taught Chu Xiu, want to live, never miss any opportunity that might make you stronger. Ding. Copy successfully. Name, Chu Xiu *X, male strength. 9 average for ordinary people is 10, agility. 10 average for ordinary people is 10, physique. 9 the average for ordinary people is 10, energy. 0 the average for ordinary people is 0, talent, magnetic field control, unawakened, use slot. 1/5. After the system is upgraded, more talent slots can be obtained. Along with the beep, another translucent panel appeared, which was Chu Xiu's own attribute panel. Immediately after another beep sounded. Ding. Discover unawakened abilities. Awakening for you. Accompanied by the sound, there was a sharp pain that ripped through the whole body. Sting, piping hot. It was as if there was magma flowing in the body. The brain is also sore. Is this what awakening feels like? Facing the severe pain, Chu Xiu held back and sat back to his seat silently, excited inside. He knows too well what this pain can bring. Be powerful. Unparalleled power. Ordinary survivors are unmatched and powerful. What's the matter with you, Chu Xiu? Are you uncomfortable? I see you are sweating, Zhao. Wenyi noticed Chu Xiu's strangeness and asked casually, fine. Chu Xiu gritted his teeth and responded. As he spoke, he felt that his brain was torn, and he seemed to sense the surrounding metal trembling. Metal rivets on the bunk, keys on the table, pens. That's fine. Tell me if you're really uncomfortable, and I'll ask the counselor for a leave for you. After Zhao Wenyi finished speaking, he left the bedroom. The other 2 roommates also left the dormitory one after another. After a long period of grinding. Time goes by slowly. Soon. The astonishing excruciating pain subsided little by little and finally ended completely. Call. Finally. Finished. Chu Xiu breathed a sigh of relief. At this time, his whole body was wet with sweat and his whole body was as embarrassed as a chicken in soup. But it was all worth it. Chu Xiu wiped the sweat from his forehead, and a smile appeared on the corner of his mouth. This moment. The world seemed to have changed in his eyes. Somewhere, he sensed the magnetic field between heaven and earth. The magnetic field energy seems to be an invisible thread, lingering on everything in the world. But this feeling is very weak. Only in the face of metal. This induction will be much stronger. Isn't this Magneto? Chu Xiu put his eyes on the metal bed beside him, and when he stretched out his hand, the magnetic field energy poured out. Squeak, accompanied by a screeching sound. The heavy metal bed visibly moved a little. Too heavy. After moving only 20 centimeters, Chu Xiu felt a slight pain in his brain. Metal bed with bunk, plus bedding and sundries. Maybe 200 or 300 pounds. Chu Xiu, who had just awakened his abilities, was still struggling to move such a big guy. Realizing this, Chu Xiu set his eyes on the pen on the table. Reach out. The pen flies in an instant, like a small flying knife. It shuttles back and forth above Chu Xiu's palm. A wave of hands. Whoosh. The pen flew to the wall like a sharp arrow and nailed it firmly. The tip of the pen penetrates the wall completely. The new book sets sail. I ask readers to collect flowers and go for a wave. If you have any suggestions, please post them in the comments area, and young readers will read every article. *******. Chapter 2 Powerful. Endless possibilities. This is my system. Copy. Other people's innate abilities. Ability. To test. Chu Xiu was shocked. At this time. His properties panel has changed drastically. Name. Chu Xiu strength. 9 agility. 10 physique. 9 energy. 15 plus 15, talent, magnetic field control LV1, use slot. 1/5, with the awakening of the magnetic field control, the energy that was originally 0 has become 15, 1/5, of the use slot, which means, I still have 4 slots. You can also copy the innate abilities of 4 more people. Realizing this, Chu Xiu trembled slightly with excitement. Normally, each awakened can only have 1 innate ability, and myself Start with 5 powers. And with the system upgrade, this number will continue to increase. I didn't expect this guy to be an awakener, and the talent is so strong. Chu Xiu glanced at Zhao Wenyi's empty bed and said with emotion he never expected it. The roommate who received the box lunch early in the previous life actually possesses a top-notch talent. Magnetic control, one of the 4 powers of the universe. Awakened people with similar abilities are all powerful at the top of the pyramid. However, Zhao Wenyi did not survive the early days of the apocalypse. If this guy's not dead, it is estimated that he will also be a hegemon in the future. Chu Xiu said indifferently. He has no plans to go to Zhao Wenyi. Chu Xiu has more important things to do than save people. 9:30. It's about to start. Chu Xiu glanced at the alarm clock on the table. 9. There are less than 30 minutes before the disaster strikes. Chu Xiu vaguely remembered that when the disaster happened, he was in class when suddenly, a black mist filled the air and enveloped everyone. After a brief confusion, the black mist dissipated. More than half of the students in the classroom, including the teacher on the podium, were turned into bloodthirsty zombies. Chu Xiu, in his previous life, struggled to escape from the school. Too late to be happy. Ferocious beasts and monsters appeared one after another. That age, for an ordinary person without powers, it's too cruel. Just a magnetic field control is not enough. I want to become stronger. Recalling the past, Chu Xiu's eyes became colder, and he became more sure of his goal. We have to find Li Qiu quickly. Li Qiu month, Vice President of Student Union. In school, he is known for his kindness and kindness on weekdays. She would not hesitate to lend a helping hand to her classmates who were in difficulty. She is the dream goddess of many boys, but only Chu Xiu knows, after the disaster, Li Qiu will awaken an extremely powerful innate ability, lightning control, become the thunder goddess of the future Megatron, but at the same time, her temperament has changed drastically, and she is addicted to murder, especially to men. It can be said to see one kill one. The sanctuary she built only accepts women, but not a single man. Chu Xiu doesn't know what changed Li Qiu's character. Don't care either. All he has to do now is to find Li Qiu and copy her lightning ability. As a reborn person, Chu Xiu knows a lot of strong people. But right now, Li Qiu is the only one in the same city as him. The biggest achievement in the future is also Li Qiu month. At this time, Li Qiu should be taking classes in Baksu building, the so-called erudite building. In fact, it is the first floor of the school. Li Qiu is 1 year older than Chu Xiu, and is Chu Xiu's senior sister on weekdays. Li Qiu's life trajectory is very simple. Student union, dormitory, teaching building, 3 points and 1 line. Think of this. Without the slightest hesitation, Chu Xiu made a gesture, and metal objects such as pens and keys on his desk, including several roommates' desks, flew into his pocket. Leaving the dormitory, I met 2 classmates. When I went downstairs, name, Liuhais*X, male, talent, none, name, Hyitongs*X, male, talent, none. Chu Xiu glanced. Seeing no talent, he quickly looked away. Downstairs, Chu Xiu saw what the dormitory aunt and several freshman classmates were talking about. Glancing, all have no talent. Awakens are still too rare. That being said, Chu Xiu did not give up. Along the way, whenever Chu Xiu saw someone, he would look at them. On the way, the 2 elementary school girls were startled. Thought I met a rogue. Chu Xiu didn't explain anything. The disaster was coming soon. Let's talk about whether the 2 can survive. Hard work pays off. When he was about to get to the Baksu building, Chu Xiu really met a second person with innate abilities. Name, Yunyi, gender, female, talent, Jali, unawakened, a very ordinary power type ability. Not very strong. But Chu Xiu hesitated. Do you want to use up a talent slot to make up for the shortcoming of melee capabilities? The abilities of the awakened are ever changing. But it can be basically divided into several categories: spiritual, elemental, manipulation, melee, and so on. Magnetic control is a control system. The thunderbolt of Li Qiu month is the element system. The same type of power is also divided into strengths and weaknesses. Like this girl's giant power, it is a relatively common power enhancing power. Copy. I really don't know what I'm hesitating about. The thought of hesitation flashed by Chu Xiu made a quick decision. He walked quickly to the girl, ignoring the girl's blank eyes, and put his hand on her shoulder. Hey, classmate, have you seen Li Qiu? What? Just. When the girl was confused, a pleasant system prompt sounded in Chu Xiu's earding. Copy successfully. Discover unawakened abilities. Awakening for you. Pain strikes. Muscles seem to be torn, but this time, the pain came and went quickly. In less than half a minute, the awakening was over, and the pain disappeared. Name, Chu Xiu. Strength 31 plus 22, agility 10 physique 15 plus 6, energy 15 talent, magnetic field control LV1, Julie LV1, use slot 2/5. Sure enough, in the early stage, the ability of the melee system has been greatly improved. Only one level of giant power has 3 times the power of ordinary people. After reading the attributes, Chu Xiu was extremely satisfied. Chu Xiu wanted to laugh when he thought that in the future, if someone thought of himself as a manipulator, thinking about Far's closed body, and when he got close, he was knocked out by his own punch. Generally speaking, the biggest weakness of psychic and manipulative power users is their physical body. Once approached, it can only be slaughtered by others. The reason why Chu Xiu copied Julie was to make up for this shortcoming. Classmate, you okay? Yin. Yi had a weird expression, stretched out her hand, and waved it a few times in front of Chu Xiu. Simply speechless inexplicably, someone ran over, patted his shoulder, and remained silent for half a minute point. If it weren't for the fact that this guy looks handsome. I left early. Cough. Okay, have you seen Li Qiu? Chu Xiu came back to his senses and asked again. Although he used this trick just now, this was indeed the question he wanted to ask. No, classmate, if you're not feeling well, the infirmary is over there. Seeing Chu Xiu's weird behavior, Yen Yi didn't want to get entangled anymore, and quickly pointed in one direction. Turn away. As he walked, he looked back from time to time. It seemed that he was afraid that Chu Xiu would catch up. Chu Xiu ignored Yen Yi. In his eyes, this girl has no value. At least for now. What a freak. Yen Yi turned back, looked at Chu Xiu, who strode into the Baksu building, and pursed her lips. Chapter 3. The Black Mist is coming. The end is coming. If I remember correctly, Li Qiu should be on the 3rd floor. Without asking for information, Chu Xiu had to find out by himself. Enter the learning building. Go straight to the 3rd floor. Today we are going to talk about, boom, a professor was giving a lecture when the door was suddenly knocked open. It frightened the sleepy students below. It's Li Qiu here. Ignoring the surprised eyes, Chu Xiu shouted loudly. There are only 10 minutes left until the disaster strikes. Chu Xiu didn't have time to search slowly, so he could only use this simple and rude way to find someone. Which level are you? Don't you know to knock on the door first? Seeing that no one answered, Chu Xiu turned around and left without talking nonsense. Completely ignoring the old professor who was questioning behind him. Came to another classroom. The same scene appeared again. Boom. It's Li Qiu here. No one answered. Boom. It's Li Qiu here. Soon, he came to the last classroom on the 3rd floor, but still did not see Li Qiu. It's it in the student council. Chu Xiu frowned and was about to leave. At this time, that classmate, Li Qiu asked for leave today and is not at school. In the classroom, a soft voice rang out slowly. Hear this answer. Chu Xiu was in trouble. On the one hand, he didn't want to give up Li Qiu's ability, but seeing the black mist coming, it was not realistic to leave the school to look for it. Classmate, do you know where Li Qiu went? Chu Xiu looked at the girl who spoke and asked. The attributes of girls also emerge. No talent. I don't know. She only said that she has something to do today and she is going to the old pedestrian street. Old pedestrian street. East Street. The girl answered honestly. At this time. Suddenly there was a loud noise from outside. What is that? Why Is it getting dark? It seems to be fog. Why is it black fog? Damn. Isn't it a chemical leak? Accompanied by noise. A large amount of black fog suddenly poured into the classroom. In an instant, there was only darkness left in front of everyone. Downright black. The black that can't see 5 fingers. The lights are completely obscured. There is no light at all. I can't see. What? I'm so scared. Zhang-fan, where are you? There was an instant chaos in the classroom. From time to time, there were collisions between tables, chairs, benches, and the sound of someone falling. Here we go. In the darkness, Chu Xiu was unusually calm. 2 pens flew out of the pocket, suspended in the palm of the left and right hands. Bang! In the darkness, a figure approached Chu Xiu. Buff. Chu Xiu didn't hesitate at all. Magnetic catharsis. The pen shot out like a sharp arrow, stabbing the opponent with precision. What? Accompanied by the screams of a man. The figure fell. Listening to the sound, there is no way to tell whether it is a zombie or a human, and Chu Xiu can't control that much. As long as someone is near, he will attack decisively, whether human or zombie. Soon. The dark fog gradually dissipated. The fluorescent lamps above the classroom, the light pierces the darkness a little bit, and finally illuminates the entire classroom. The dark fog came and went faster. The whole process actually took less than a minute, but the changes brought about were catastrophic. A murder. The dark fog dissipated, and there were several shrill screams in the classroom. The screams outside the classroom are more and more, one after another. Chu Xiu also saw the situation in the classroom clearly at this time. Since it was an elective course, there were not many people, and there were only a dozen people in the classroom. There were 3 more lying beside Chu Xiu's feet, bleeding profusely. The remaining students, half of they were looking around in horror. The other half was lying on the seat, with his head lowered, as if he was asleep, but his shoulders were still shrugging slightly. Chu Xiu knew. These half people are turning into zombies. Seeing this, Chu Xiu bent down and pulled out the pen from the corpse on the ground. In order to avoid exposing his own early awakening, Chu Xiu did not use magnetic manipulation. Because except for him, all the awakened people were awakened one after another after the black fog occurred. Only he woke up early. You killed them? Looking at Chu Xiu's hands, the 2 pens that kept dripping blood. Several people in the classroom instantly became nervous. Why are you doing this? Hurry up and call the police. Faced with questions from the crowd, Chu Xiu ignored it. At this time, while Chu Xiu was not paying attention, a fat girl quickly lowered her head and took out her mobile phone to call the police. Just as she entered the number, sitting next to her, a girl who had been bowing her head suddenly turned her head, pale eyes, pupils spread like dead people. What? Raw. With a scream, the girl jumped up. She opened her mouth and bit the fat girl's neck. Stab it. Huge pieces of meat were ripped off. Blood poured out like no money. The girl's actions seemed to have caused a chain reaction, and then several other figures in the classroom with their heads bowed also became mad. Attack the surrounding classmates. What? Zhang-fan. Stop it. I'm your girlfriend. Help. The screams came one after another. There was chaos in the classroom again. In the panic, many people did not know how to resist, and they were bitten by zombies one after another. Roar. A zombie roared and rushed towards Chu Xiu. Chu Xiu did not hesitate, throwing the pen as a throwing knife. Puff. The pen is impartial, piercing the brain from the left eye socket of the zombie. The zombie fell to the ground in an instant. Kill ordinary zombies. Experience value +1. Note: experience points can be used to upgrade systems and abilities. Just as the zombie died, a prompt sounded in Chu Xiu's mind. Experience. Hearing the beep. Chu Xiu paused slightly. Then, without hesitation, he threw the other pen to the other zombie. Puff. Kill ordinary zombies. Experience value +1. The beep sounds again. After confirming that killing zombies can get experience points, Chu Xiu was overjoyed and looked at the zombies as if he was looking at the experience points of walking one by one. Puff. Puff. The pens and keys were used as flying knives by Chu Xiu, which precisely hit the eye sockets of the zombies. The one in the pocket is gone. Chu Xiu took it from other people's desks soon. The last zombie screaming in the classroom was also pierced by an iron ruler. Puff fell to the ground. Compared to the noise of other classrooms, the classroom where Chu Xiu was sitting became quiet all of a sudden. A little weird. Have you seen the movie? They've turned into zombies, facing the horrified eyes of everyone. Chu Xiu said very plainly. But in fact, no one dared to refute Chu Xiu. Several students in the classroom were all shocked by Chu Xiu's strength. In their eyes, Chu Xiu is like a master of hidden weapons in martial arts novels. No matter what in his hands, it can be turned into a hidden weapon for murder, and it is always possible. Only Chu Xiu himself knows what happened to his success. Looks like throwing. In fact, at the moment when the pen was shot, Chu Xiu had already planned the flight path with the magnetic field. If desired, Chu Xiu can even make the pen turn in the air, circle around and hit the target again. You two were bitten? After finishing the zombies in the classroom, Chu Xiu turned his attention to the two female classmates in the corner. These two. One forearm has bite marks, and one palm has bite marks. No, please, don't kill me. Second, promise I won't become that. I promise. Seeing that they were being targeted by this killer, the two girls were so frightened that they hurriedly knelt down. Crying pear flowers bring rain. Without any hesitation, Chu Xiu picked up an iron ruler from the table next to him and threw it over Puff. The iron ruler penetrates the eyeball. One hit kill without a doubt, but the system's beep has not sounded for a long time. Is it because there is no transformation? There is no experience in killing? Chu Xiu frowned. At this time, another girl kneeling on the ground suddenly trembled. Her pupils dilated and her eyeballs turned pale white. He rushed towards a student frantically. At the critical moment, a pen flew over and hit his eye socket with precision. Kill ordinary zombies. Experience value +1. Sure enough, there is no experience in killing people, and the person who feels it has to be completely mutated to gain experience. Chu Xiu understood. Chapter 4. Get out of the teaching building. Watching Chu Xiu kill the two girls without hesitation. The few remaining people in the classroom did not dare to utter a single word, and all remained silent. And they have a vague feeling. The killing god in front of him seems to have not been able to kill himself yet. In fact, they were absolutely right. Would you like to clear the zombies in this building? After learning that killing zombies would gain experience, Chu Xiu had this idea. As a ruthless man who lived to the end of the apocalypse, Chu Xiu has no fear of zombies. Compared with beasts and monsters with strange abilities, zombies are simply too easy to deal with. However, Chu Xiu did not forget the primary goal of his trip, Li Qiu. If this takes too much time. After awakening Li Qiu's ability and leaving the pedestrian street, it will be difficult to find her again. But if you plan your route, it should be too late soon. Chu Xiu made a decision. With a pair of terrified eyes, he quickly collected the iron objects in the classroom. Pens, iron rulers, keys, coins. Seeing Chu Xiu's actions, a girl gathered up her courage and handed over her set of keys. Chu Xiu took a look. Somewhat surprised. It was the girl who told herself Li Qiu to ask for leave before. Unexpectedly, she survived the first wave of black fog. However, this still does not change her fate, that she has no innate ability. Thanks. Chu Xiu's tone was flat. After taking the keychain, he turned around and left. He had no interest in the group of people in the classroom. I don't want to save. I don't want to hurt either. In fact, if according to his character before his rebirth, Chu Xiu is likely to lead a zombie to come over, finish the group, and then kill them all. After all, zombies are experience, but after all, Chu Xiu had also experienced the difficulty for ordinary people to survive in this cruel apocalypse. So doing no harm was already his greatest goodwill. It hurts. What's up with her? Aren't you going to turn into a zombie? Just when Chu Xiu was about to leave. In the classroom, there was a sudden cry of a girl falling to the ground, awakened. Chu Xiu paused slightly. Previously, he only focused on killing zombies, but he really didn't scan the attributes of these people. Unexpectedly, an awakener was missed. Chu Xiu turned around and saw a girl lying on the ground, rolling around in pain. Tears streaming down her face. Seeing this scene, the people around them have long since dispersed. Don't dare to get close at all. For fear that she is turning into a zombie. Name, 1 year and gender, female, talent, underwater breathing, seeing. The girl's abilities, Chu Xiu turned around silently and left the classroom directly. Compared with the common talents and abilities, there are actually some less popular abilities, such as the transformation system, that can transform into a werewolf, the auxiliary system that heals others, and so on. In addition, it is this special skill class with a single ability point like this girl. Her ability is to breathe underwater like a fish. Apart from that, there is nothing left, no combat power, just like ordinary people. Naturally, Chu Xiu would not waste a slot for this. The front foot just went. There was a chat in the classroom behind Chu Xiu. If you want me to say, before she turns into a zombie, kill her quickly. Yes, otherwise it will be us who will die. Don't want. Accompanied by chatter, there was a violent knocking sound from the classroom behind him, and a girl's shrill screams. Hear the sound. Chu Xiu shook his head slightly. This situation is not uncommon. In the early days of the apocalypse, many of the first awakened people were killed as sympathizers during the awakening process. Apparently the unlucky girl was one of them. Just thinking about it, Chu Xiu has come to the next classroom. Push open the hidden door. A strong and pungent bloody smell hits my face. The eyes are full of blood, and more than a dozen zombies who are frantically gnawing at something. No one in this classroom survived. Roar, roar. The sound of Chu Xiu pushing the door immediately caught the attention of these zombies. They immediately dropped the minced meat in their hands, roared and rushed over. Seeing this, Chu Xiu kicked over a table in front of him and used it as a cover. Then, with a flip of his hand, several pens flew out like sharp arrows. Puff, puff, puff. The few zombies rushing in front of them burst their eye sockets and fell to the ground one after another. Kill ordinary zombies. Experience value +1. The system beeps constantly. Chu Xiu listened and killed more vigorously. The pens shuttled back and forth among the zombies like embroidery needles of the god of death. Soon, more than a dozen zombies all fell down. Chu Xiu did not stop and continued to the next target. The whole person seems to be a zombie harvester. Wherever you go, the zombies fell one by one. Lee, who? Do you want us to follow that person? I think only by following him can we survive. You crazy, didn't you see that guy kills without blinking? This kind of person, if you are unhappy, you won't even discuss it if you kill him. After a while, in the classroom where Chu Xiu used to be, several students were still hesitating whether to follow Chu Xiu. As everyone knows, the murderer they speak of has cleaned up all the zombies on the 3rd floor and is ready to go downstairs. Still, overestimating myself, standing at the entrance of the stairs, Chu Xiu wiped the sweat from his forehead. Several classrooms were cleaned in a row. It made Chu Xiu feel dizzy, as if he was using his brain too much. This should be the mental overdraft in the mouths of those awakened. Chu Xiu leaned against the wall with one hand and muttered. In general, if the spiritual power is overdrawn, the power user of the spiritual system or the control system will completely lose the combat effectiveness. Obviously Chu Xiu is an exception because he has another ability, giant power. As long as he is willing, Chu Xiu picks up a stick at will, and the fighting power is equally astonishing. System. Expand my properties. Chu Xiu thought about it. The translucent panel reappeared. Name, Chu Xiu, system level. 1, 0 over 10,000, strength. 31 left square bracket agility. 10 physique. 15 energy. 15 left square bracket talent, magnetic field control LV1, 0 hundredths, giant power LV1, 0 hundredths, use slot. 2/5 experience. 112 points of experience. I have killed so many zombies. Seeing the extra experience value on the attribute panel, Chu Xiu was surprised. The rise of killing. It doesn't count either unexpectedly. There are already more than 100 points of experience. Upgrading both giant power and magnetic field control requires 100 points of experience. If it is to upgrade the system, 1. 10, 100, 1000, 10,000, 10,000, counting. The zeros on the panel. Chu Xiu was a little surprised, but he didn't say much. 10,000 experience point, it's just killing 10,000 zombies compared to the benefits of the upgrade. This effort is simply not worth mentioning. More talent slots mean more abilities that Chu Xiu can copy. But for now, Chu Xiu's experience points are only enough to upgrade one skill. Upgrade. Magnetic field control. Between giant force and magnetic control, Chu Xiu chose the latter without hesitation. Chapter 5 Ability Upgrade. Unlucky Zhao Wenyu. Upgrade magnetic field control. Chu Xiu's voice just fell. He felt a warm current spread over his limbs. Just now, because of the overdraft of mental power, some fainted brains instantly became very clear and active. The magnetic field thread between heaven and earth becomes clearer. Name, Chu Xiu. System level. 1, 0 over 10,000, strength. 31 left square bracket agility. 10 physique. 15 left square bracket energy. 33 plus 18 talent, magnetic field control LV2, 0 thousandths, giant power LV1, 0 hundredths, used slot. 2/5 experience. 12 after the magnetic field was upgraded, the energy also doubled, but the next upgrade will also have more experience. After scanning the changes on the property panel, Chu Xiu closed the property panel. Him at the moment. Spiritual strength fully recovered. Not only that, after the magnetic field control was upgraded to level 2, Chu Xiu's manipulation of metals became more and more skilled. Aside from basic movement, it can also initially change the shape of the metal. When Chu Xiu thought about it, the iron ruler in his hand was twisted and deformed by an invisible force, as if a big hand was twisting it. Chu Xiu's eyes focused, the magnetic field energy was released, and the iron ruler in his hand gradually took shape from the standard ruler, becomes a sharp throwing knife without a handle. Should be better than a pen. Chu Xiu weighed the flying knife, and was very satisfied. Then, Chu Xiu made the remaining iron rulers into the same shape. He completely abandoned the pen and key. However, I still kept a handful of coins for emergencies. With some self-made flying knives, Chu Xiu went to the second floor. The upgraded magnetic field control allows Chu Xiu to easily control 4 or 5 flying knives at the same time. In extreme cases, you can even control 7 or 8 at the same time. If there is more, the loss of mental power will accelerate, and the speed and accuracy of the flying knife will be greatly reduced. At the moment, Chu Xiu controlled several flying knives and quickly shuttled among the corpses. Flying knives are like embroidery needles, accurately pierce the eye sockets of zombies. Then it automatically pulls out. Find your next target. Every action of every throwing knife will splatter too much blood. But this had no effect on Chu Xiu, who was standing 5 meters away. Except for the sporadic blood spots, he was almost as clean as ever. You kill ordinary zombies. Experience value +1. You beep sound one after another. The upgraded ability, coupled with the sharp flying knife, made Chu Xiu several times more efficient. In killing zombies he walked by. The zombies fell down in rows, like cut wheat. At the same time that Chu Xiu was harvesting zombies. The other side. In another teaching building not far from Baksu building. Several figures crowded into a utility room. Fear was in the air. Woo-woo. What the hell is going on? I'm so scared. I want to go home. Shh. Don't bring the zombies here. A girl is crying. In the next second, someone covered his mouth. Among these people. Suddenly, a familiar figure appeared. It was Zhao Wenyu, Chu Xiu's roommate. At this time, he was not in a good condition. Bean-sized beads of sweat fell from his forehead. The whole person is shaking. Pale. Seems to be experiencing some kind of great pain. Fortunately, the light in the utility room was dim, and the windows were blocked with something. So the others inside did not notice anything unusual about Zhao Wenyu. No sound. If they find out, they will definitely kill me as a zombie. Zhao Wenyu gritted his teeth. He is a smart man. Although I don't know what happened to me, one thing is certain, that is, once I'm discovered, these people are likely to kill me. Zhao Wenyu, who understood this, clenched his teeth. bleeding from the roots of his teeth, but he didn't bite. Needless to say, he was a ruthless man. It's a pity that God made people. Just when Xiao Wenyu gritted his teeth and endured great pain, a scream suddenly came from beside him. Xiao Wenyu turned his head in astonishment. However, I saw a boy who, like him, was pale and seemed to be suffering some inexplicable pain. But the boy couldn't hold back. Under severe pain. He called out directly, "Grass, there are two sympathizers here. Kill them to death. Don't let them attract other zombies. Hurry up." The screams quickly caught the attention of others. You looking at the boy beside him who attracted everyone's attention. Xiao Wenyu's eyes were extremely resentful. After a long while, a voice of national quintessence was squeezed out from between his teeth. "You goo." Next moment, a baseball bat fell on his head. Inside the learning building. Chu Xiu, who was cleaning up the zombies, didn't know that his roommate Xiao Wenyu, who had given him the control of the magnetic field, had already received a lunchbox again. But even if he knew, he wouldn't care at this time. He has cleaned up all the zombies from the 3rd floor to the 2nd floor. Get ready to go to the 1st floor. The cruel thing is that no one has survived in this entire layer. You kill ordinary zombies. Experience value +1, current experience value 8 because no one survived. There were naturally many more zombies on the 2nd floor than on the 3rd floor. Clear 1 layer. The experience value is directly more than 200. Chu Xiu did not hesitate and immediately upgraded another of his abilities. Upgrade the giant power. The voice just fell. The familiar feeling struck again. The fiery warm current rushed into the limbs and bones, filling every cell. Full of power. Chu Xiu clenched his fists. He now has the illusion that he can punch through everything. I can't wait to go to fight with zombies immediately. However, Chu Xiu quickly restrained this urge, and he would not reveal his melee ability unless it was a last resort. Expand my properties. Name: Chu Xiu. System level 1 strength, 72 + 41 agility, 10 physique, 15 energy, 33 talent. Magnetic field control LV2, 0 thousandths. Giant power LV2, 0 thousandths. Use slot 2/5 experience 138. After the giant upgrade, Chu Xiu's power is more than 7 times that of ordinary people. In terms of strength alone, it is already a proper non-human, and it is on the same level as a super soldier who will be injected with genetic medicine in the future. However, after the upgrade, the giant power has not changed in terms of physique. The experience for the next upgrade is 1000. I won't be able to save it all in a while. Chu Xiu glanced at the time. Starting now, I should be able to find Li Qiu before her ability awakens. Can't delay any longer. If you miss this opportunity, it will be difficult to gain Li Qiu's abilities. Chu Xiu is clear. After the apocalypse, Li Qiu month disappeared for a long time before reappearing. Now is the perfect time to gain her abilities. Once missed, it's hard to find again. Think of this. Chu Xiu no longer actively cleans up the zombies in the building. After simply making a way out, he left the Bozu building. At the same time, the survivors on the 3rd floor also saw Chu Xiu leave from the window. After a few discussions, finally got up the courage, took the disassembled table and chair legs as a weapon, and carefully went downstairs. Along the way, they only saw the corpses of zombies. My god, he actually killed so many zombies. We would have gone with him if we knew earlier. Why do you talk so much? Isn't it good now? He's opening the way for us. Haha, it seems to be right. After going out, you guys follow me. My car is not far away. Looking at the corpses along the way, the restless hearts of several people finally relaxed. Even started planning the next escape route. But they don't know. Because of time, Chu Xiu only cleaned up the zombies on the 3rd and 2nd floors. And the 1st floor, Chu Xiu simply made a way out, and there are still a lot of zombies. There are even more than the 2nd and 3rd floors combined. When several people came to the 1st floor unsuspecting, the resulting movement quickly attracted the attention of too many zombies. F***K. Why are there zombies? Help me. B. Caught off guard. Several people were surrounded by a group without the slightest accident. Roar, roar, no, help. Ah. Chapter 6. Who said this is your car? Heard screams behind him. Chu Xiu didn't look back. In the last days, timid people do not deserve to live. If these people followed him out immediately, not to mention all of them, at least half of them would survive. In the end, none of these people survived, but, from another angle, it doesn't seem like a bad thing for them to die early. Thinking back on his experience in his last life, Chu Xiu couldn't help but sigh. For most people, in this cruel apocalypse, living is far more difficult and requires more courage than death. Live. It means that the rest of your life will be spent in fear like ants struggling with death every day. For fear of becoming a beast or monster satiety in the next second. Fortunately, this time, I'm no longer a powerless ant. Chu Xiu clenched his fists. His eyes were colder than ever. In order to rush to the pedestrian street as soon as possible. As soon as Chu Xiu exited the Baksu building, he went straight to the faculty parking lot. From H-City University of Science and Technology to East Street, it is more than 20 kilometers away, and you have to find a car. Go to the campus trail in the parking lot. Zombies are everywhere. Their eyesight is not very good, but their hearing is extremely acute. Many survivors who were lucky enough to escape the building were found by zombies just a few steps out. As long as a zombie finds a living person, or other zombies will swarm up. Chu Xiu, who knows the habits of zombies, doesn't give these guys a chance to scream at all. Zombies on the way forward are often taken away by a flash of silver light before they find Chu Xiu. You kill ordinary zombies. Experience +1. You kill. Chu Xiu kept moving. The prompts in my head sounded one after another, although the efficiency is not as good as before. But after all, without wasting time, killing a few by hand can also gain some experience. By comparison, the other survivors on campus were miserable. Along the way, Chu Xiu saw many survivors, either in twos or threes, or alone. These people worked hard to escape the building, and before they could be happy, they were found and surrounded by zombies outside. In open areas they have no room to deal with zombies at all. Most of the people soon fell under the fierce teeth of the zombies. Some people found Chu Xiu with supernatural power shout out for help. But what responded to them was a figure who went further and further away. Upon seeing this, the cry for help quickly turned into a curse, and finally into a scream. Again. Stop it abruptly. Puff. You kill ordinary zombies. Experience value +1, with another zombie falling. Chu Xiu arrived at the parking lot. The parking lot of H-City University is not open to the outside world. It is for teaching staff only. At first glance, it is basically common family cars such as Volkswagen and Nissan, and there are relatively few SUVs. Just when Chu Xiu was about to look for a car in the innermost part of the parking lot, a pure black Mercedes-Benz G63 suddenly came into view. Also known as the Mercedes-Benz Big G, still the 6x6 version. That's the 6-wheel drive version. Oh, I don't know which rich son's car is. Chu Xiu sneered. Go to Big G. Although the campus parking lot is not open to social vehicles, on-campus students can still park, but they must pay the parking fee on time. Come to the vehicle. The metal structure of the car lock is useless in front of Chu Xiu. The magnetic field energy is released, and the metal lock is automatically opened. Click with a crisp door opening sound. The heavy door of the Big G opened automatically. Chu Xiu got into the car. Obviously there is no key, but the car ignites automatically, and the screen lights up. Immediately after, a roar from the V8 twin-turbo engine. Fortunately, Chu Xiu walked all the way, and has already cleared the zombies in the parking lot. Otherwise, it will definitely attract a lot of zombies. Just as Chu Xiu got into the car, not far away. Three figures also leaned towards this side. The leader is Yin Yi, who made Chu Xiu copy the giant power at this time. Yin Yi, the ability seems to have awakened. I saw she was holding a metal baseball bat she had picked up from nowhere. The stick was covered in blood and slightly bent, apparently violently used. Let me tell you, Yi, I have a villa outside the city. There are few people there, and there must be few zombies. I'll drive my car later. You know Big G, right? The Person who spoke was a young man on Yin Yi's left. A piece of expensive clothing. There is an inherent sense of superiority in the tone of voice when speaking. Xianglong, don't call me Yi. I'm not familiar with you. Yin Yi glared at the young man. At this time, she regretted saving the 2. Certainly, to say it was rescued, it would be better to say that it was slandered. Yin Yi couldn't help but see death. This brought the two of them. For the sake of classmates, I brought you out, and it can be regarded as saving your life. Next, where are you going? Whatever, don't follow me, okay? Yin Yi was anxious to get rid of the 2 fuel bottles, and arrived at the parking lot to go their separate ways. Yin Yi, zombies are everywhere now. Where can you go as a girl? Why don't you come with us? Xianglong obviously did not give up, just wanted to continue to persuade. Boom, a familiar engine roar suddenly sounded, accompanied by the sound of the engine. A familiar Mercedes-Benz Big G, growling, drove out of the parking lot. Grass. That TM is the car of labor and capital. Quick, monkey, stop that car. Xianglong's eyes widened, and he couldn't care about Yin Yi anymore, so he hurriedly asked his companions to stop the car. He himself is also ready to step forward to block. Inside the Mercedes-Benz Big G, Chu Xiu, who was sitting in the driver's seat, had actually discovered the arrival of these 3 people long ago. But he didn't care. As long as it doesn't get in his way, these people can do whatever they want. CNM. Stop. Who told you to drive my brother's car? Just as Chu Xiu was about to leave, the young man suddenly rushed into the middle of the road, and his mouth was full of vulgar words. Chu Xiu's eyes turned cold. Not only did it not decelerate, but the accelerator underfoot even increased a little. Stop, grass. Don't you hear me? Stop. The boy known as the monkey rushed to Chu Xiu's car and shouted sharply. The tone of voice when speaking has a typical sense of bullying. But as the vehicle gets closer, and when there is no sign of slowing down, the monkey's eyes quickly became frightened. Stop. 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 Crap. Accompanied by increasingly frightened shouts. Dong dong, the heavy off-road tires of the Mercedes-Benz Big G bumped slightly. Under the excellent shock absorption, the Chu Xiu in the car feels like it has just run over a small hurdle. Seeing this scene, Xianglong, who was also about to step forward to stop the car, stopped in an instant. The whole person was frightened and motionless at this time. The Big G, which should have driven straight out of the parking lot, suddenly shifted its direction and headed towards Xianglong. Xianglong was so frightened that he rolled and climbed and fell to the ground. No. Looking at the approaching wheels, Xianglong's eyes were full of horror. In times of despair, the Mercedes-Benz Big G suddenly stopped with a sudden brake. The off-road wheel covered in blood and mud stopped in front of Xianglong, and the blood and mud on the wheel splashed onto his face. The frightened Xianglong touched the bloody mud on his face. After seeing the object in your hand, with a scream, Xianglong was actually frightened insane. Use both hands and feet. He rushed out of the parking lot with rolling and crawling, and fled in the direction of the zombies. But Xianglong didn't know. From beginning to end, Chu Xiu didn't even look at him. Why? Stop. All because Chu Xiu recognized Yin Yi. Chapter 7. Like a movie, through the car window, Chu Xiu found that Yin Yi had completed his awakening. Name, Yin Yi. Gender, female. Talent, Julie LV1. Yin Yi, who has just awakened her abilities, has only LV1. But Chu Xiu's giant power is already LV2. I don't know if the ability of the same person can be copied repeatedly. Looking at Yin Yi outside the car window, Chu Xiu suddenly had an idea. Boarding. Chu Xiu lowered the car window. Yes, it's you. Why? Did you bump at? This time, Yin Yi also recognized Chu Xiu in the car, but at this time, she was also shocked by Chu Xiu's behavior just now. Boarding. Chu Xiu did not explain, and spoke again in an almost commanding tone. Yin Yi just wanted to say something. I saw a large group of zombies, attracted by the movement just now. Among them, there is the figure of Xianglong in zombie form. C. Yin Yi didn't hesitate. She quickly opened the co-pilot's door and got in. Get in the car. Chu Xiu immediately grabbed Yin Yi's left hand. System. Copy. Without the slightest bit of nonsense, Chu Xiu got straight to the point. An error occurred. Duplicate target. Copy failed. Really? For this result, Chu Xiu is not surprised at all. In Yin Yi's confused eyes, Chu Xiu let go of his hand, as if nothing had happened. Then, a kick of the throttle. Big G roared, and rushed out of the parking lot. Mercedes-Benz Big G driving on the road. The sound of the engine attracted the attention of many zombies on the road. But as long as there is a zombie close to the vehicle within 20 meters, a silver light will appear, killing it with one blow inside the car. While driving the car, Chu Xiu controlled the flying knife and cleaned up the zombies blocking the road. The vehicle is not moving fast. Mainly there are too many obstacles on the road. There are abandoned cars that crashed into each other, some of which are burning with flames, black smoke. Chu Xiu's magnetic field control is not strong enough to move the vehicle at will. Therefore, many road sections are not passable at all. Fortunately, this 6x6 version of the Big G has a high enough sight and has superior off-road capability. Can't walk on the road. Chu Xiu ran over from sidewalks, green belts, middle flower beds, and all kinds of passable places. At the same time, Yin Yi sat quietly in the co-pilot. After getting in the car, the girl never mentioned Chu Xiu's collision. For her, Chu Xiu is so strange. Not only is the behavior strange, but what shocks Yin Yi is Chu Xiu's strange ability. She saw several flying knives fly out of thin air from Chu Xiu's pocket, shuttle back and forth in front of the vehicle, kill the zombies that want to get close one by one. This unreasonable scene really shocked Yin Yi. She has gained great power though. But the strength is still understandable. Controlling flying knives out of thin air is a thoroughly supernatural power. The kind that can kick Newton off a coffin board. How did you do it? Looking at the silver lights flashing in front of the vehicle, Yin Yi finally couldn't help asking, is this a superpower? Are there really superpowers in this world? If not, without turning his head, Chu Xiu asked, why do you think you have so much strength? But I haven't reached the point of superpower, have I? A lot of weightlifters can reach my level. Yin Yi clenched her fists and felt her own strength. Then, do you have the muscle mass of an athlete? Do you think it's reasonable to have such power with your thin arms and legs? Chu Xiu glanced at Yin Yi and said indifferently, it seems to be. Yin Yi nodded thoughtfully. Ah, how do you know I'm very strong? Guess. Oh, the car fell silent again. However, after this conversation, the atmosphere in the car eased a little, and there was no embarrassment at the beginning. But the so-called embarrassment is actually just Yin Yi's personal illusion. Chu Xiu, who was concentrating on driving, didn't pay attention to her at all. Talking room. The two finally left the most congested downtown area and came to a relatively open urban road section. Chu Xiu kicked the accelerator. With the roar of the engine, the Big G, who had been aggrieved all the way, finally picked up the speed. The zombies chasing behind the vehicle were quickly thrown away. After ensuring safety, Chu Xiu lowered the car window, surrounded the flying knives outside the car, and immediately turned around and fairly met his hands. Kill all the way. The blades of these flying knives were all blunted. The tip is almost ground. Seeing this, Chu Xiu's thoughts moved, and the magnetic field energy was released. In an instant, the blunt edge of the flying knife extended outward at a speed visible to the naked eye. Getting thinner. In just a moment, a few flying knives became extremely sharp again. You can feel the coldness just by looking at it. Your ability is to manipulate metal, like in the movie. See that Chu Xiu can not only protect objects from the air, but also change the form of metal. A name suddenly appeared in Yin Yi's mind. Magneto. Chu Xiu nodded lightly. The control of the magnetic field was originally the power he showed on the outside, and there was no need to hide it. Other abilities are reserved as whole cards. Does everyone have superpowers, or only some people have? Well, everyone seems to have different abilities, like you can manipulate metal, and am I just powerful? After getting a positive answer from Chu Xiu, Yin Yi asked and answered by herself. Have to say, Yin Yi is still very smart. Chu Xiu didn't say a word. The girl actually guessed a lot of information by asking and answering herself. Although only the most basic preliminary information point, but it is generally correct. Have you always been so talkative? Hearing Yen Yi talking to herself, Chu Xiu couldn't help interrupting. No, I only occasionally. Yen Yi said, suddenly noticed the road scene outside the window. Wait a minute. Are we driving in the direction of East Street? Are you familiar with this film? Chu Xiu noticed Yen Yi's tone and turned to look at her. Well, it's okay. I worked here for a while. Yen Yi nodded. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 8. Obviously I can eat with my face. Work here. This answer. Chu Xiu was a little surprised, turned his head, and looked at Yen Yi carefully. Just found out. Although Yen Yi's facial features are very delicate, her complexion is not fair, a bit like wheat, and calluses from work can be seen on her palms. Although the clothes on the body are clean, it can be seen at a glance that they have been worn for a long time and have been washed many times. Jeans are a bit whitish. Obviously. The family situation of the girl in front of her is not good. Combined with the work she just said, it is obvious that Yen Yi may have been living a work-study life. Why are you looking at me like that? Noticing Chu Xiu's gaze, Yen Yi was a little unnatural. Nothing. Chu Xiu shook his head slightly, but his impression of Yen Yi improved a lot. Yen Yi's foundation is actually quite good. As long as you dress up a little, you don't even need to dress up. As long as you change your clothes, you will be a 90-point beauty. Obviously you can eat with your face. She chose the hardest way. Did you meet Li Qiu when you were working here? Chu Xiu asked. What? It's the end of the world. Are you still looking for Li Qiu? You too? Yen Yi was taken aback by Chu Xiu's question, and then said, it's too romantic. It has to be said that women's brain circuits are different. From Yen Yi's point of view, Chu Xiu's persistent search for Li Qiu clearly shows that he loves each other deeply. At this moment, Yen Yi even envied Li Qiu a little. Such lifeless love, just like a fairy tale. But envy was envy. Yen Yi answered Chu Xiu truthfully. I've seen her around here a few times before. It seems that she has a uncle, who I don't know who, opened a clothing store here. Anyway, she comes here every once in a while. Yen Yi recalled. Do you know the exact location of that store? Yeah, I know. Got an affirmative answer. Chu Xiu was also happy inside. At first, he was worried that the East Street was too big and Li Qiu would not be found in a while. Now it seems that bringing Yen Yi along is simply the right decision. As it gets closer to East Street, the road is no longer as open as it used to be. But it's getting more congested at this time. It's been a while since the end of the day. The whole city has been completely turned into a purgatory on Earth. From the relatively open road, entering the congested urban area again. Looking around, the road ahead is full of cars that collide with each other, some crashing into the guardrail, and some rushing into the roadside shops. There is smoke everywhere. There are blazing flames everywhere. In this purgatory-like scene, countless ferocious zombies roared and rushed to any place that made a sound. Once hidden survivors are discovered by them, there is almost no chance of survival. There is no way to hide. These unfortunate survivors often don't even have the chance to turn into zombies. It was torn to shreds in an instant. Eat. Reduced to a corpse full of food. East Street is actually an old pedestrian street in the old city. Because it is an old city, the roads are narrower, but there are more residents here. Likewise, there are more zombies. As soon as Chu Xiu drove into the East Street section, the sound of the engine of the Mercedes-Benz Big G caught the attention of the surrounding zombies. Roar. Hoo-ho-ho. The roar of the first zombie. Like a collapsed domino, it immediately caused a chain reaction. More and more zombies slanted their bodies. Noticing Chu Xiu's arrival, they roared and rushed over. The terrifying amount made Chu Xiu feel his scalp numb. The co-pilot Yin Yi was even paler. The baseball bat in his hand was gripped tightly. Take point Watts. Next, Yin Yi's voice trembled. You. Come and drive. Chu Xiu quickly calmed down. Point. He has seen scenes 100 times larger than this, and naturally he will not be frightened by a group of zombies. Oh. Chu Xiu's calm tone gave Yin Yi a little backbone. Point. Oh, after a sound. Point. He quickly grabbed the steering wheel. Chu Xiu focused entirely on the zombies in front of him. Point. Swoosh swish. The flying knives in Chu Xiu's pocket flew out one by one, turned into streaks of silver light, stabbed at the incoming zombies. You kill ordinary zombies. Experience value +1. You kill. The prompts are loud and clear. It's a bit noisy. Turn off the prompt sound temporarily and report it in a unified manner later. Chu Xiu tentatively issued an order. As soon as the voice fell, the reminder sound that kept ringing in my mind actually stopped. After the world is quiet, Chu Xiu devoted all his energy to dealing with zombies. Controlled 5 flying knives at once. With a wave of his hand, the 5 flying knives turned into 5 silver lights and flew to their respective targets. In an instant, the 5 zombies rushing in front of them suddenly burst their eye sockets. The blood was mixed with black substances and spilled out. In order to prevent the blade from wearing out too quickly, Chu Xiu did not let the flying knife penetrate the skull of the zombie. Instead, let the flying knife pierce through the eye socket, destroy the brain tissue, and then return to the original path and fly to the next target. Point. After all, the skull is the strongest bone in the human body. Good. So strong. Although it was known that Chu Xiu was very strong, the scene in front of him still shocked Yin Yi. Point. This is killing zombies. It's clearly reaping wheat. I saw Chu Xiu sitting in the driver's seat with one hand sticking out of the car window, his eyes looking forward, and several flying knives waving back and forth between his hands, turned into deadly silver lights, harvesting the lives of row after row of zombies. Dong dong. Just when Yin Yi was shocked, Big G ran over the corpses of the first row of zombies. The vehicle jolted a few times. Yin Yi was so excited that she almost unscrewed the steering wheel. Stay steady, don't dismantle the car for me, Chu Xiu said lightly. Oh. Yin Yi quickly got serious. At the same time, he glanced at his thin arms and thin legs, and he comforted himself crazily. Not envious. I'm pretty good too. At least when I was strong, I didn't turn me into King Kong Barbie. Very good. Point. Ladies and gentlemen, let's squeak chapter 9 Li Qiu situation. Just as Chu Xiu was clearing the way to the pedestrian street. Point. The second floor of a shop on the west side of East Street. Point. 3 men with tattoos all over their bodies are beating a middle-aged man with a pot belly. Point. 2 people fight. Another man covered his mouth with a rag to prevent the middle-aged man from screaming. Woo-woo. The beaten middle-aged man rolled on the ground in pain. Point. But because his mouth was gagged, he could only make a painful whimper. After playing for a while, the two stopped their hands, and the other gave a vicious warning when he took back the gag rags. Warning, don't bark. Ugh. The middle-aged man burst into tears, but because of the warning, he didn't dare to make a sound at all. Point. At this time, a fat and strong bald man walked up to the middle-aged man and squatted down. Point. He patted the middle-aged man's right face. Old Yang, do you think there is a biochemical crisis, so you don't have to pay back? After the bald man finished speaking, he grinned, revealing a mouthful of stinky yellow teeth. The scars on his face are scary like a centipede in the room. Except for the bald man and the 3 tattooed men who just hit someone, there is also a little girl in her teens, and a middle-aged woman who seems to be well-bred. Woo. The little girl burst into tears when she saw the bald man's terrifying smile. Point. The middle-aged woman next to her was so frightened that she quickly covered the girl's mouth. You little b*******d. You want to attract zombies, don't you? Cries are heard. One of the tattooed men said nothing and picked up the meter-long machete on the table. It is worth noting that this group of people not only have machetes, but the bald man at the head has a pistol on his waist. Point. Obviously these people are not good people until the end. Point. Now, when disaster strikes, and without the law, they are even more reckless. No, please. She's just a child. Please, you can let me do anything. Don't hurt him. Seeing the tattooed man approaching with a knife, The middle-aged woman knelt on the ground in fright. Yes, that's what you said. You can do anything. The tattooed man grinned and looked up and down. The middle-aged woman is well received, and obviously before the end, she is also the head of a wealthy family. Ah. Cheyenne, didn't you see me doing business here? You can't wait for a while. The tattooed man was about to get started when his boss, the bald man, suddenly spoke. But he didn't stop it, just let it endure for a while. Hey, okay, brother Long. The tattooed man smiled, but with malicious eyes. He kept staring at the woman kneeling on the ground. It seems to say, just wait. Here, the bald man called Brother Long by his subordinates, was looking at the middle-aged man on the ground with a kind face. Seems to be waiting for an answer. Brother Long, I owe you money. Yang Zuwen grimaced. Snapped. Before he could finish speaking, Brother Long slapped him. You're still pretending to be stupid with me, aren't you? Money, what's the point of asking for money now, brother? Long took out a gun and put it against Yang Zuwen's head. The eyes are vicious and greedy. One last chance for you. Don't pretend to be stupid. You know what I want. With the gun pointed at his forehead, Yang Zuwen only felt a chill rise from Cheyenne Ling. Don't he dare to say a word of nonsense. Don't shoot, brother Long. I really called her over today. Yang Zuwen was afraid that he would be a step behind, so he said quickly, real. How dare I lie to you, brother Long? Hearing this, brother Long finally showed a smile on his full face but soon disappeared. What about her? A look of embarrassment appeared on Yang Zuwen's face. My niece is too strong-tempered. I told her about it, and she refused to do it. No way. I had to lock her in the warehouse. Yang Zuwen finished speaking. He looked at Brother Long anxiously. For fear that he would be unhappy and shoot himself. Is it the warehouse in your store? Brother Long asked. Exactly. Don't worry, Brother Long. I'll lock the warehouse door. She will definitely not be able to escape. Speaking of this, Yang Zuwen didn't care about uncles at this time. As an old man who owes a lot of usury, he has long put his family aside. Sometimes the niece is beautiful, also of great use. That is. Suddenly, Yang Zuwen thought of something, and suddenly became uneasy. Just fart. Brother Long said impatiently. I just don't know if she has become. Yang Zuwen did not continue to speak. But Brother Long, who had been on the road for many years, instantly understood his concerns. Don't worry, no matter whether she becomes a zombie or not, the money you owe me will be written off. You can follow me in the future. Seeing Yang Zuwen's cooperation, Brother Long also put on a generous look. Put away the gun. He patted Yang Zuwen on the shoulder and motioned him to get up. Hey, okay, thank you Brother Long. Thank you Brother Long. When Yang Zuwen heard this, he immediately got up from the ground happily. That's right, he wasn't worried that his niece would become a zombie, but that Brother Long would be angry with him again if he didn't succeed. You two stay here. Xiaoli, you go down with me. Thinking of that youthful and beautiful figure, Brother Long couldn't wait. Greeted a subordinate and prepared to go downstairs. Brother Long, I'll lead the way. At this time, Yang Zuwen had completely abandoned him. Conscience made a face and acted as a leading party. Leaving, the middle-aged woman in the room looked at Yang Zuwen with a look of help. But he pretended not to see anything. Joke. How could a person who can betray his niece even offend Brother Long for the sake of a woman? Not to mention a woman who is not a relative. Follow me, Brother Long. The warehouse is downstairs. Yang Zuwen carefully opened the door and walked downstairs. The door to the shop was already closed. Therefore, there are no zombies in the store, only a few dead zombie corpses. Among them was the husband of the middle-aged woman upstairs. When the disaster happened, they happened to come over to buy something. I heard that your niece has never been in love, right? Yes, Brother Long. Her family education is very strict. If this child hadn't been obedient since childhood, I wouldn't have been able to shout. Yang Zuwen said, and winked and smiled a few times. The meaning is very clear. Still a baby, haha. See? This guy is so uptight. Brother Long was more satisfied. The sense of anticipation in the heart directly reached its peak. Just when Brother Long and a few people went downstairs to the warehouse. Upstairs, the tattooed man who had been waiting for a long time walked directly towards the woman. A wicked smile appeared on his face. Wait, a car is coming. At this time, another tattooed man by the window suddenly shouted in a low voice. Chapter 10 Kill all. Not one left. That looks like a big G, doesn't it? A big G with 6 wheels? Silly. That's called Mercedes-Benz 6x6. I've seen it in the video, and it's more than 6 million. Grass. It's nice to have money. Look, zombies can't stop that car at all. It ran straight over. As the distance gets closer, hiding behind the curtains, the two secretly watched and gradually saw the approaching vehicles. The greed in his eyes could not be concealed. You stay here. I'll inform Brother Long. If we grab this car, it will be convenient for us to go out of the city. After a brief sigh, one of them patted his companion on the shoulder, ready to go downstairs to inform the boss. Hey, did you hear that? Seeing that his companion did not respond, the tattooed man turned his head and glanced. However, he saw his companion look sluggish. Pointing out the window with a silly hand. What's wrong? The tattooed man looked strange, looking out of the window along his companion's finger. He was also stunned for just one look. Matt, what the hell? The tattooed man was shocked, because he saw that the big G did not hit the zombies on the road at all, but something invisible killed the zombies. As soon as the zombies approached the car, will fall one after another. Wait, that car seems to be heading our way. Discovering this, the two instantly realized the seriousness of the problem. You go to inform the boss. The two spoke in unison. You sure it's this? It should be right. I met Chu Xiu at the door of this store before. Inside the car, Yi pointed to a store with a closed door not far away and said seriously, "Ro." Chu Xiu nodded. At this moment, there were a few drops of sweat hanging on his forehead. Although not as mentally exhausted as last time, but also felt a little tired. No way. There are too many zombies in this old street. From the moment he entered, Chu Xiu had no idea how many zombies he had killed within a short distance of less than 100 meters. The back of the vehicle is littered with zombies. If nothing else, the wheels of this Mercedes-Benz Big G turned blood red all the way over. The wheels are full of mincemeat. There was so much blood on the windshield that the wipers had to work all the time. Yi, who was sitting in the co-pilot, noticed the beads of sweat on Chu Xiu's forehead. After some hesitation, Yi took out a pack of napkins from his pocket and took 2 out of them. Just about to hand it to Chu Xiu. Chu Xiu braked and stopped the car at the door of the shop. Yi pointed to. Get off. Oh, Yin. Yi's hands froze, and she was ready to take it back. Chu Xiu glanced at her, then took the tissue, and wiped his forehead briefly. He opened the door, and got out of the car. Yi was stunned for a moment, then quickly picked up the baseball bat, got off the other side, and followed. At this time, only then did she realize that the zombies on the street had been almost cleaned up by Chu Xiu. The only remaining ones are also mutilated zombies with broken hands and feet and slow movements. Basically not or threat. The door is locked, and there are people inside. When he came to the front of the store, Chu Xiu's eyes narrowed, and he sensed that the door was locked from the inside. Watching sudden, Chu Xiu noticed the gaze. Looking up, in the window on the second floor of the store, 2 young men with vulgar looking appearances opened the corner of the curtain and were secretly observing themselves. Grass. Found. Go and inform the boss. Finding themselves exposed, the 2 upstairs were so frightened that they hurriedly closed the curtains. One of them picked up a machete and prepared to go downstairs. Wow. Before he could go downstairs, the locked metal rolling gate opened upwards automatically. Chu Xiu and the 2 walked in directly. After coming in, the gate was slammed down again, and it automatically buckled and locked. Guard the door, and don't let anyone out. Chu Xiu left a sentence, and rushed upstairs quickly. Oh. Yi nodded. Then he stood guard at the door. Here, Chu Xiu rushed to the second floor, and kicked the door open, only to find that Chu Xiu was not inside. There were only 2 tattooed youths with machetes in the room. a teenage girl and a middle-aged woman in her 30s. Where's Li Qiu? Chu Xiu questioned. Who are you? Hearing this questioning tone, the tattooed man who had been with him for many years instinctively wanted to scold him. But it's not over yet. A flying knife pierced his throat. The tattooed man was terrified, clutching his bloody throat, and slowly fell to the ground. Until this time only then did he understand how the zombies he had seen before had died. You. Looking at the slowly falling companion, the gangster in the room, was so frightened that he couldn't hold the knife steadily. He also stuttered when speaking. Chu Xiu glanced at him lightly. Do not kill me. The gangster dropped the knife and knelt on the ground with a plop. I know where the person you're looking for is. It's in the warehouse downstairs. The voice just fell. The gangster was horrified to find that a silver light flew towards him at high speed. Zoom in quickly in its astonished gaze. Do not. After a scream. The gangster collapsed with his companions. Seeing the little girl in the room was so frightened that she just wanted to scream. In the next second, he was tightly covered by a middle-aged woman. Chu Xiu glanced at the mother and daughter without saying anything. He turned to leave. Wait a moment. Suddenly, the middle-aged woman spoke up. Chu Xiu thought that the next thing would be request for shelter and so on, but it turned out to be beyond his expectations. Their boss has a gun. You be careful. The middle-aged woman was actually reminding herself. Seeing this, Chu Xiu, he laughed at himself inwardly. Having lived for a long time in the apocalypse, my heart seems a little too dirty. There are not many zombies outside. You will find a car and go out of the city in the southwest direction. There's a gathering place there. After simply dropping a sentence, Chu Xiu turned around and went downstairs. When he was about to leave, he made a move, and the two thugs dropped the machete on the ground and quickly flew into his hands. After flicking the blade, the metal's rebound sound was incomparably crisp. Well, it's much better than an iron ruler. Chu Xiu is very satisfied. After going downstairs, he said hello to Yin Yi, who was guarding the door, and asked her to let the mother and daughter upstairs go out. Then he walked towards the back of the store. Because it is an old city street, the facade houses here are basically commercial and residential. The second floor is the bedroom area, and the first floor is divided into two parts. The front is the shop, and the back is the living area of the shop. Like the kitchen, bathroom and the like are in the back. Of course, some stores have turned this area into a warehouse. Apparently that's what this store does. Yang Zuwen, are you kidding me? This TM is you locking her, or is she locking us? Chu Xiu walked through a corridor. Around the corner, I suddenly heard a conversation and the sound of hitting the door with my body. Don't be angry, Brother Long. Seeing Brother Long getting angry, Yang Zuwen, who was beside him, didn't dare to neglect, and hurriedly moved to the closed warehouse door. Shout out to the inside in the kindest tone possible. Qiu, listen to your uncle, move your things away. You go. I don't have your uncle. A girl's voice came from the door. It was Li Qiu, that Chu Xiu was looking for. Hoarseness obviously cried for a long time. The tone was full of despair and helplessness. Qiu, when your parents died, they entrusted you to me. Why don't you obey? Open the door, Yang Zuwen said, while pushing the door hard. This dead girl must have used something against the door. Seeing that he couldn't push it away, Yang Zuwen had to turn around and look at Brother Long with a pleasing smile. Brother Long, just hit the door, Yang Zuwen said grimly. Completely disregarding that the person inside is his own niece. Haha, you kid is very good. Brother Long grinned, and when he heard the voice of a living person in the warehouse, he couldn't wait. Haha, it's good not to become a zombie. Little Lee, hit the door. Brother Long laughed and greeted his men to start knocking on the door. Chapter 11 About to awaken. Listen to the conversation of several people. Chu Xiu roughly understood what happened. At the same time, I understand why Li Qiu, who is beautiful and kind-hearted, will change her temperament greatly after the apocalypse. Li Qiu's parents both died. This incident, Chu Xiu heard people say when he was in school, seems to be a car accident. In this way, Li Qiu, the so-called uncle, is likely to be her last relative. No wonder her temperament has changed so much. No one can stand this kind of experience. At the same time in the warehouse, Li Qiu also heard the chatter outside the door. When she heard Yang Zuwen said that she was going to hit the door, her beautiful eyes completely dimmed. There was no more light in the eyes. Yes, only utter despair. If someone could save me. Boom. A loud bang. The warehouse door shook, and the shelves behind the door shook. The products above are all falling down. The originally closed warehouse door was also knocked open by a crack, and the light shone into the warehouse along the crack. But it's bright. But it didn't bring any hope to Li Qiu. On the contrary, it brought more complete despair. She only felt the boundless darkness, rushing like a tide. At this time suddenly, an untimely voice came from outside the door. Who is your kid? The person who spoke was a subordinate named Xiaoli. He was hitting the door, glancing away. I suddenly found that there was an expressionless young man at the entrance of the corridor. Xiaoli's call. It also made Brother Long and Yang Zuwen noticed this uninvited guest. Who let you in? Was it a Shan or Xiao? Seeing Chu Xiu, Brother Long's first reaction was that his two men put it in. Because the door to the store was locked long ago. Outsiders can't get in at all. Oh, are you talking about the master of these two knives? Chu Xiu sneered. The two machetes in hand are slightly displayed. Grass. Seeing this, Brother Long reacted. No matter how stupid he was, this TM is clearly for trouble. Looking for death. Right. Brother Long is also a decisive person. Seeing that Chu Xiu had dealt with his two men, he didn't care that the sound of gunfire would attract zombies. Without a word, he pulled out his pistol, want to pull the trigger. But the next second, he was horrified to find that no matter how hard his index finger was, he couldn't pull the trigger. Grass. Didn't the labor and management have insurance? Brother Long quickly checked the safety of the pistol. Even if you don't check it, it's even more frightening when you check it. Insurance is clearly open, but the trigger can't be pulled. Zhao Shan, cut this. Realizing that the pistol had a malfunction, Brother Long hurriedly gave orders to the men beside him. Not finished yet. A scene that shocked him even more happened. I saw the machete in Xiao Shan's hand suddenly let go, as if he was forcibly dragged away by some invisible force. The machete spins around in the air. Then, he slashed fiercely on Xiao Shan's neck artery. Puff. The blood immediately poured out like no money. This time, Brother Long was completely dumbfounded, and he couldn't even speak. Look at Chu Xiu, who is approaching step by step. Brother Long's full-faced face finally showed timidity and panic. As he stepped back, he kept slapping the gun in his hand and tried to pull the trigger towards Chu Xiu. Grass. U. B asterisk 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 D. Fire. Now, your uncle's Brother Long cursed. The gun in his hand. The horror in his eyes grew stronger. Eventually turned into despair. Little brother, you let me go. I will be the only one from you in the future. No, little brother, do not. In Brother Long's desperate eyes, a machete is rapidly magnifying. Puff, accompanied by the sound of the tip of the knife cutting into the flesh. A fat and strong corpse slowly fell down like mud. As Brother Long and his men died one after another, Yang Zuwen, who was on the side, was already slumped on the ground in fright, and a smell of urine emanated from he boasted. Chu Xiu looked disgusted. For this kind of person, he didn't want to say a word. Whoosh. A flying knife pierced through Yang Zuwen's head instantly. Because it was too disgusting. After Chu Xiu threw this flying knife, he never took it back. According to Chu Xiu, this man is more disgusting than a zombie. After solving Yang Zuwen, Chu Xiu stood in front of the warehouse door. The magnetic field energy was released, and the metal shelves behind the door moved backward. At the same time, in a dimly lit warehouse, Li Qiu curled up helplessly at the corner, hugging her shoulders. Her eyes dimmed. The metal shelves that arrived at the door were removed. The warehouse door opens, light shines in. Li Qiu slowly raised her head, and a picture she could never forget in her life came into view. A tall figure stood at the door. The voice pierced the darkness like the warm Sunday, said slowly, "Come out, Li Qiu. It's safe outside. Hear this." Li Qiu was stunned. She had a trance of unreality. Don't dare to blink, for fear that in the next second, the figure standing at the door would disappear, turning into a group of inhuman devils. Get up until Chu Xiu walked in, came to Li Qiuyu, and stretched out his hand. Li Qiuyu was just sure that what she saw was not an illusion. You are Chu Xiu. You still remember me? Seeing that Li Qiuyu knew about him, Chu Xiu seemed quite surprised. If I remember correctly, I seem to have met Li Qiuyu once, and it was a public welfare activity organized by the school. There was an event before. You were a volunteer. Li Qiuyu didn't finish her words. The voice was already crying. Seeing the acquaintance, her tense nerves relaxed. In an instant, those beautiful eyes, that were already red from crying, became moist again. While Li Qiuyu grabbed Chu Xiu's hand, and hugged Chu Xiu. Bury the head and cry. Chu Xiu. Thank you. While crying, Li Qiuyu gave vague thanks. The weak and boneless body trembled in sobbing. Ding. At the moment of contact, the system prompt sounded. Reproducible objects found. Name, Li Qiuyu. Gender, female. Talent, lightning control. Awakening soon. Do you want a copy now? No. Chu Xiu chose to refuse. On the one hand, since Li Qiuyu has been found, there is no need to worry. On the other hand, on Li Qiuyu's panel, the words about to awaken were written impressively. The first two abilities of Chu Xiu were copied before the opponent was awakened. Every copy, Chu Xiu had to endure the pain of awakening. So this time, Chu Xiu wants to try it, and then copy it after Li Qiuyu wakes up, to see what the difference is. Okay, don't cry, we have to go. Chu Xiu glanced at Li Qiuyu, who was crying with pear blossoms and rain in his arms, and showed no pity. Pushed her away directly. What? Oh. Li Qiuyu was slightly taken aback. A pair of big eyes swollen from crying, blinked twice, and followed Chu Xiu honestly. No hesitation. At this moment, she has completely lost her mind. In his mind, there was only one instinctive thought, which was to follow the man in front of him. Like the last straw caught by a drowning man. Hold on tight. Chapter 12. Let's go. Deafening explosion. Soon, Yin Yi, who was guarding the door, saw Chu Xiu and Li Qiuyu walking out one after the other. Hey, a lover is finally married. Seeing the two coming, Yin Yi laughed and joked. But to greet her, but it was a cold eye from Chu Xiu, and Li Qiuyu's blank expression. What, did I say something wrong? Yin Yi was also confused. Gone. Chu Xiu was too lazy to explain to her. Magnetic field energy is released. The tightly closed shutter door immediately opened upwards, making a clattering sound. As soon as the door opens, the matte black Mercedes-Benz 6X6 comes into view. However, most of the car has been dyed red with the blood of zombies. It has become a double color combination of upper black and lower red. At the same time, as the door opened, a strong and disgusting stench of blood was blown by the wind. It's on the street. A lot of dead bodies. Blood stained the whole street. The dirty blood gathered along the roadside drainage pipes into the urban drainage system. Well, Li Qiuyu, who had been hiding in the warehouse, had never seen this scene. See this scene. His face turned white. Just when Chu Xiu thought Li Qiuyu was about to vomit, she immediately covered her mouth and took a deep breath. The pale complexion gradually recovered. Are you okay? Chu Xiu glanced at her. Fine. Hearing Chu Xiu's question, Li Qiuyu's reaction was surprisingly big. He looked up almost immediately, forced to squeeze out a smile. It feels like a kitten that is afraid of being abandoned and pretends to be brave to show itself to its owner. Fine. Chu Xiu had a weird expression. He probably understood why Li Qiuyu became like this. After a person's spirit suffered a major blow, it was easy to develop a morbid sense of dependence on those who helped him. She saved Li Qiuyu by herself, and she became dependent on herself. There's nothing wrong with that in itself. Only seeing the goddess of thunder who intimidate one side in the future, now like a little girl, relying on her side, it is inevitable that people will feel a little inconsistent. Of course, there are also hundreds of millions of cool points after all. The Li Qiuyu in my memory is the real goddess, and countless strong people are out of reach. Cough. Get in the car. Clearing the distracting thoughts in his mind, Chu Xiu manipulated the magnetic force to open the car door. He threw the 3 machetes and a pistol that he had just harvested at the co-pilot. Where to go next? After getting in the car, Yen Yi asked. Li Qiuyu also looked at Chu Xiu point at this time. The two of them, before they knew it, had already regarded Chu Xiu as the absolute backbone. By the way, when the mother and daughter left before, they said they were going to the gathering place in the southwest, and said you told them. Ah, we going there too, Yin. Yi suddenly remembered what the mother and daughter said in the store before they left, so she asked, southwest, don't go. Chu Xiu pondered for a moment, then shook his head. Point unlike the bases established by individuals, the gathering places in the southwest were established by a nearby army. Point barely an official gathering place. Point therefore, upfront security is guaranteed. Point in the last life of Chu Xiu, he followed the army there. Point, but too many survivors means scarcity. Food, water, clothing, shelter, everything is extremely scarce. Ordinary people can only barely survive there, and even the awakened ones cannot live a good life. Resources are so scarce. Let's find some supplies first, and then go straight out of the city. Chu Xiu looked at the fuel gauge with only 1 bar left, then glanced at the time and replied, oh. Yin Yi, who had long regarded Chu Xiu as the backbone, did not ask why she did not go to the gathering place. Oh, and then sit down obediently at this time. Li Qiuyu, who was sitting next to Yin Yi, suddenly snorted and fell down. What's wrong with you, Qiuyu? Yin Yi was startled and quickly supported Li Qiuyu to checkpoint, but found that Li Qiuyu brows clenched, trembling all over. The forehead is extremely hot, have a high fever. The whole person seems to be experiencing great pain. I'm fine. Li Qiuyu glanced at Chu Xiu who was driving. Point gritting his teeth. He tried to sit back. Point hearing the movement, Chu Xiu glanced at the rearview mirror and instantly understood that this was the beginning of his awakening. Don't disturb her, she is awakening now, Chu Xiu said. Wake up. Hearing Chu Xiu's words, Yen Yi was slightly taken aback and then reacted. So, Qiuyu, you also have superpowers. Realize this. The heart that Yen Yi mentioned was relieved a lot. You bear with it, Qiuyu, the awakening is very fast, and it will be gone in a few minutes. Yen Yi remembered her own experience, and said as a past person. Point, but she doesn't know. Point everyone's awakening time is different. Generally, the stronger the talent, the longer the awakening time. Point soon. Point as time flows, Yen Yi also gradually discovered something was wrong. Li Qiuyu's awakening was not over yet, her forehead was still hot, and her consciousness even began to blur. Why? Isn't it over yet? I was only in pain for a few minutes then. Seeing that Li Qiuyu still had a high fever, Yen Yi couldn't help but worry again. Point Chu Xiu, who knew the reason, was not worried at all. Point is magnetic control. I woke up for 3 hours. Generally speaking, the stronger the ability, the longer the awakening time. Chu Xiu's tone was flat though. Point, but Yen Yi was a little uncomfortable listening to it. Isn't this saying that she is weak in disguise? Yen Yi just wanted to refute. Point he opened his mouth, then closed it obediently. Point I can't help it. I seem to be really weak, except for the strength. It seems that there is no use at all. Point through the rearview mirror, Chu Xiu noticed Yen Yi is lost, shaking his head slightly. Point in fact, no matter what kind of ability awakened, the future will be the scarce talent that the major bases compete for. Even the girl who could only breathe underwater before use it properly, it can also play its due value. Under the guidance of car navigation, the 3 of Chu Xiu soon came to a gas station on the outskirts of the East City. Across the distance, you can see several cars colliding near the gas station, 2 of which are still smoking, and there are some zombies wandering around. Point obviously, these people are planning to go out of the city after some supplies. The result is stuck here. Raw. Hoo-ho. The 3 of Chu Xiu came over. The sound of the Big G's engine instantly attracted the attention of the zombies around. Point they came around screaming. Chu Xiu was accustomed to this for a long time, and without saying a word, he controlled the flying knife and killed the zombies one by one. Point then he slammed on the brakes and stopped the car in front of the gas station. You stay in the car to protect her. I'll go cheer. Chu Xiu dropped a word. Getting ready to get off. Boom. A deafening explosion sounded. Suddenly came from a distance. Huge sound, forming a sound wave visible to the naked eye. Soon came to the gas station, where Chu Xiu is. Clap la la. In an instant, the surrounding glass was all shattered. The car's siren is beeping non-stop. Chapter 13 Time and Space Cracks. Ferocious Beast, Winged Demon. What happened? Yin Yi's voice trembled a little. The sound just now was terrifying. Even the window glass of this Mercedes-Benz Big G was shattered. Glass splattered all over the place. Fortunately, Yin Yi used her body to protect Li Qiu beside her at a critical moment. Otherwise she would be injured when she was awakening point. And, I don't know if it's an illusion point after that loud noise. Yin Yi suddenly felt an extreme sense of unease. An instinctive fear strikes. As if something terrible was unleashed. Yin Yi only felt goosebumps all over her body. Chills explode. That arrived so fast? Only Chu Xiu was a little calmer. Because he knew what the loud noise represented. The rift in time and space has opened. To be precise, it is opened again. The first time was when the black fog appeared. The second time is now. This loud noise not only appeared in H-City, but appeared in every corner of Blue Star. With the loud noise, the cracks in time and space all over the world were completely opened. It was also from this time that beasts and monsters that were more terrifying than zombies came one after another. Even more frightening is as long as the cracks are not closed, these beasts and monsters will continue to appear. We have to hurry up and get out of town. The Chu Xiu of the previous life had already left the city with the large army at this time point still on the outskirts of the city point. Fortunately, it is not the city center, and the risk has been greatly reduced. Then, be careful, Yin Yi was a little worried about Chu Xiu point, but when she spoke, Chu Xiu had already got out of the car. After Chu Xiu got off the bus look around point, I quickly found the body of the zombie fueler, found the fuel card, and added it to Big G. Take advantage of the refueling efforts. Chu Xiu walked into the store convenience inside the gas station, and what he saw was the crooked shelves. The above items are less than half point. Apparently survivors have looked after this place before point, but they walked in a hurry, taking only a portion of the merchandise, and there were still some canned goods on the shelves. There are also scattered drinks and water in the corner. Chu Xiu saw this. He quickly found a trolley and collected the scattered supplies, especially canned food. Pulled by the magnetic force, Chu Xiu didn't have to pick up the cans, and all the scattered cans flew into the trolley automatically point. After collecting the supplies, Chu Xiu pushed the cart and walked towards Big G. The 6x6 version of the Big G is a bit like a pickup truck point. There is a body at the rear, which is not very big, but more than enough for a trolley point. Pack your supplies. Big G's oil is also topped up. Without delay, Chu Xiu quickly pulled out the oil gun, got in the car, and started the engine to leave. Saiga. At this moment, a strange roar suddenly came from a distance. Sharp sound. It's like scratching glass with your fingernails. What is that? Yin Yi glanced back and was surprised. I see a few kilometers away, in the direction they had just come from, several giant birds were hovering in the air, but as long as you look closely, you can see that it is not a bird at all. It's a humanoid creature with wings. The upper body is human-like, but without arms, replaced by a pair of fleshy wings, a skeleton-like face, and a sharp beak. The lower limbs are completely like birds of prey. It has backward bent knees and a pair of long, sharp claws. Winged demon, a kind of beast. Chu Xiu didn't even look at it, and only gave the answer, based on his voice. Winged demon, a low-level beast. Even though it's just a low-level beast, the winged demon's combat power is not weak at all. Unlike zombies with degraded eyesight, winged demons have excellent eyesight, and can search for targets at high altitudes. Once they are found, ordinary people have little chance of surviving. As predicted. Within the city. Some people who did not have time to evacuate, or did not intend to flee the city at all. He soon became the first group of people to die at the hands of the beasts. Many survivors hiding in mid to high-rise buildings only blocked the door or stairs, no windows at all, and some did not even draw the curtains. The winged demons hovering in the air soon found them. Sigh. Ga in the signature shrill roar one by one. Winged demon swooped down like Stuka. Just smash the window. Metal security windows in front of their claws are like paper. One paw is torn apart. Monster. Grass. Do not touch me. Ah. The survivors screamed and were pierced by the winged demon's sharp claws. Caught from hiding point, take it to the sky. Winged demons are not like zombies, they will not eat the prey immediately, but will take the prey to a height of 100 meters, then throw it down, and after it breaks, use the long beak to suck it. Then a terrible scene happened. One by one, the survivors were caught by the winged demon, and thrown from the sky. Help. Do not. What the? Screams of those unfortunate people. Even Chu Xiu and his party a few kilometers away could hear it clearly. Oh my god. Looking at the black dots in freefall, Yen Yi turned pale with fright. She thought zombies were scary enough. I didn't think there was anything more terrifying. The winged demon only. Chu Xiu noticed Yen Yi's shock and just wanted to speak. Sudden, in the rearview mirror, two rapidly approaching black spots are reflected. Sit down. Chu Xiu was immediately silent. His face turned cold. The accelerator slammed to the bottom. Boom. The engine sounded loudly, and after a strong pushback, the speed of the vehicle suddenly soared. But those two black spots are still rapidly enlarging. It's the winged demon. Yin Yi looked back. It was discovered that it was the winged demon who swooped down from both ends. Looks like it's following us. Fine. Finding that he couldn't shake it off, Chu Xiu's eyes became fierce. Is this taking me as prey? Do you need my help? Yin Yi picked up the baseball bat and said nervously, protect Li Qiu. She is now at the critical moment of awakening. Chu Xiu finished. Slowly put your foot on the brakes, gradually reducing the speed of the vehicle. Get ready for the next battle. Chapter 14. Do you know the difference between beasts and zombies? Saiga. As soon as the vehicle slowed down, a roar came from behind. The two winged demons swooped down one after the other. One of them is close at hand. You can even hear the whistling sound of the wings when the winged demon dives at a high speed. Caught death. Chu Xiu's eyes were cold. The magnetic field energy was released, and the four flying knives flew out of the window in an instant. Turned into four silver lights. Shoot straight at the swooping winged demon. Puff. Puff. The winged demon's dive speed is close to 200 km/h. At first glance, it was as if it had hit the flying knife itself. The winged demon rushing in front of him suddenly had several big holes in his body. Due to inertia, the blood rushed to the rear point. But a few flying knives obviously can't stop the potential energy of the winged demon diving. Boom. With a loud bang. The winged demon landed directly on the roof. The iron sheet on the roof, like paper paste in front of its sharp claws, was directly pierced. But didn't wait for it to have the next move. Swoosh swish. The four flying knives that penetrated its body just now suddenly turned 180 degrees in the air. Strike again. Puff. Hit the winged demon again from behind. Cap. The winged demon let out a painful roar. The claws that had pierced the jerked roof and ripped apart a large piece of iron. Like opening a can. The big G suddenly turned into a convertible. UTM. Chu Xiu was furious. One of the three machetes thrown in the co-pilot flew out of the window in an instant. Like a spinning axe, it spins at high speed in the air, draw an arc, then slashed heavily at the intersection of the winged demon's eye socket and sharp beak. This is the winged demon's weakness. Only a piece of fragile cartilage reaches the brain. Puff, accompanied by the sound of a sharp blade piercing the bone. The high speed rotating machete slashed into the winged demon's head almost unhindered, almost split it in two. You kill the E-level beast. Winged demon. Experience value plus 50. Current EXP 381. The long lost system beep sounded again. Before, Chu Xiu was too noisy and temporarily hid the sound of the zombie killing prompt. Now the beep sounds again. Sigh. Ga. Just when Chu Xiu finished solving the first winged demon. The other winged demon also roared and swooped down. One after the other. Don't give any respite. This is also the usual fighting method of gregarious beasts. Just in time, Chu Xiu's eyes narrowed. Just when he was about to follow suit and deal with this winged demon in the same way. Die, you monster. Yin Yi sitting in the back row. I saw the winged demon attack. Not knowing where the courage came from, he suddenly roared, grabbed a machete from the co-pilot, and slashed upwards. Because there is no roof, the knife fell firmly on the winged demon who swooped in. Yin Yi's great strength is perfectly displayed at this moment. Stab, the sound of rags being torn. The potential energy of the winged demon's dive was interrupted head on. The body was split in two by a sharp blade. The wings, that are still flapping, are connected to a part of the shoulder blades, which are directly separated from the torso. Blood spilled out like no money. Fortunately, the vehicle kept moving. Most of the blood was blown out of the car by the wind, and most of the winged demon's body was also thrown out. Only half of the bat-like wings were left hanging from the roof of the car, blown by the wind. Quiet. In the car only the roar of the V8 engine, and Chu Xiu, who was awakening, groaned unconsciously. Sudden. What? Yin Yi screamed. Touched his face. Only then did he realize that the monster's blood splattered on his face. Even more frightening is, at that time, he seemed to have opened his mouth. After taking a few mouthfuls, Yin Yi seemed to think of something and stopped in a daze. His eyes turned red all of a sudden. His short life flashed through his mind quickly. From small mountain villages to big cities, work, study, all the way. Countless heartaches rushed into my heart. Think of the last. Yin Yi looked at Chu Xiu. The noses saw all of a sudden. The big tears fell down. You kill me, Chu Xiu. Second. Don't want to be that monster. Yin Yi's voice was crying. Full of helplessness and fear. She is afraid of death. More afraid of turning into ugly monsters. However, the response to Yin Yi was silence. Chu Xiu, who refocused on driving, heard Yin Yi's last words with snot and tears. The expression looked strange. He seemed to be holding back a smile. Cough. Do you know the difference between beasts and zombies? Seeing Yin Yi crying harder and harder, in order not to hurt herself and Chu Xiu, she even prepared to commit suicide by jumping out of the car. Chu Xiu coughed lightly and said quickly, "What?" Yin Yi looked bewildered. Apparently, he didn't understand what Chu Xiu said at all. I ask, do you know the difference between beasts and zombies? Chu Xiu reluctantly repeated, I don't know. Yin Yi shook her head. 2 drops of tears hanging on the eyelashes were thrown down. It's simple. One edible and one inedible. Chu Xiu is really no joke. Different from the zombies that will feel sick after eating. Most of the beasts are edible, except some are poisonous, and even some of the beasts have good meat quality. In the future, there will be some ruthless people who will risk their lives to hunt and kill beasts just for a treat. Huh. What does that mean? Yin Yi's little-headed melon seeds haven't reacted yet. Literal meaning. Don't say you just splattered a few drops of blood. You won't feel bad, even if you roast it and eat meat. Chu Xiu said, and pointed to the half of the wings hanging on the roof of the car. Also, this thing is actually quite delicious with some barbecue sauce. That's all there is to say. Yin Yi is a fool if she doesn't understand. In other words, I won't become a monster, right? After getting a positive answer, Yin Yi was stunned. Thinking of how he looked just now, his face flushed to the back of his ears. I can't wait to find a hole in the ground to get in. Then, do you want to keep this thing for baking tonight? While driving, Chu Xiu pointed at the half wing hanging on the roof of the car and said meaningfully, don't want. At the mention of this, Yin Yi became anxious and blushed. Anyway, I don't eat it. Even if I, Yin Yi, starved to death and died outside, I wouldn't eat such ghosts. Fine. Chu Xiu smiled. With a wave of his hand, the iron sheet on the roof moved and threw the half of the wings down. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story, and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 15 Awakening is complete. Get the lightning power. After the episode of Winged Demon, Chu Xiu finally left the city safely. To the outskirts the road gradually opened up. Although along the way, you can still see many crashed cars and zombies wandering around the cars, but the number has been much lower. At least Chu Xiu can rest assured to speed up. The speed of the car quickly broke through 100. Chu Xiu held the steering wheel with one hand and slid the center console with the other, looking for a suitable shelter from time to time. You have to hide from abandoned vehicles and zombies on the road. Go. Here, soon. Chu Xiu chose a destination point, a high-end community called Yijiang Garden. No, brother, look at the road. It really doesn't work. Let's stop and navigate again. Yin. Yi's face turned pale. Several times they drove past, almost wiping the abandoned vehicles on the road. A little carelessness is a car crash. Rest assured. A reminder for Yin Yi. Chu Xiu didn't care. The enhancement of physique and spirit makes Chu Xiu's reaction speed also far beyond ordinary people. Not to mention 100 yards. Even if it is faster, it can be easily controlled. Speeding all the way. Just 10 minutes. Chu Xiu arrived at his destination point. The so-called Yijiang Garden is actually a high-end community that has just been built. The community is full of single-family villas, each with independent walls, elegant environment, complete facilities, and even an artificial lake with a large area. Come to the entrance of the community. A car with only wreckage left on the security booth, and there were several charred bones in the car. The security booth was knocked down in half. The fallen part was pressing a security guard, but at this time, he had turned into a zombie. Raw. Hearing the sound of the engine, the zombie security guard immediately became violent. Both hands scratched out bloodstains on the ground, trying to get out of the collapsed security booth. Chu Xiu simply glanced at it. A piece of charred iron on the wreckage of the car flew up instantly and flew towards the security guard's neck. Puff. The tin fell. The head of the zombie security guard is directly separated from the body. He fell to the ground and rolled several times before dying completely. You kill the E-level mutant zombie raider. Experience value plus 10. Mutant zombies? Chu Xiu was slightly taken aback. Raiders, of course he knew. This is a mutant zombie that can reach a human sprint speed of 100 meters. Nothing special in other respects. It is a relatively common mutant zombie. 9 points for nothing. Chu Xiu was overjoyed. Unexpectedly, the most common E-level mutant has 9 points more experience than ordinary zombies, but still not as good as the beast. Also E-class, the winged demon's experience value is 5 times that of the raider, a full 50 points. It seems that I still have to kill the beast. Chu Xiu muttered. Subsequently, he drove into the neighborhood. Is this Yijiang Garden? Yin. Yi was shocked. This is the first time she has come to such a luxurious community in reality, and she has only seen it in TV dramas before. The house here is estimated to have 1 or 2 million. Yi asked cautiously. However, poverty still limited her imagination, and the houses here were snapped up during the pre-sale period. The price once reached tens of millions. A few buildings even broke 100 million. It's about the same, but it doesn't make sense, no matter how expensive the price is. Chu Xiu said lightly. After the apocalypse, money becomes waste paper. After entering the community, Chu Xiu did not go directly to any building, but drove around and cleaned up the zombies wandering on the roads of the community. It stopped at the door of a 3-story villa. That's it. Wait a minute. Go down and clean up the zombies inside. Chu Xiu parked the car and said to Yin Yi in a flat tone. What? Okay, no problem, Yin. Yi was slightly taken aback. Then he nodded without hesitation, without the slightest reluctance in his eyes. Originally, Yin Yi was not the kind of girl who only knew what to ask for. This can be seen from the fact that she would rather work and study than rely on her face to eat. Don't make it too bloody, you will have to live later. Oh, Yin. Yi nodded obediently. C. Chu Xiu raised a faint smile. Although it was just a small test, Yin Yi's attitude made him very satisfied. A beautiful and obedient female awakener. Good. I'm going down. Take a look at Qiu. Here. After Yin Yi finished speaking, she picked up her baseball bat and was ready to get out of the car. At this time. Sudden, there was a chaotic sound of electric current in the car sizzle. Immediately afterwards, the in-vehicle central control screen dimmed, then lit up again, and so on. The lights in the car also flickered. What's going on here, Yin? Yi, who was about to get off the bus, was stunned. While speaking, her hand accidentally touched Li Qiuyu, who was beside her. Snapped. With the sound of electric shock, Yi cried out in pain. Instinct to throw away. What? There is electricity. Yi shouted. It's Li Qiuyu's ability to awaken. As predicted, Chu Xiu's voice just fell. Li Qiuyu let out a soft moan and slowly opened her eyes. The moment he opened his eyes, several blue electric lights suddenly flashed across his pupils. Immediately after, the central control screen and lights of the vehicle also returned to normal and no longer flickered. Wake up for 2 hours. Chu Xiu glanced at the time. From the beginning to the end, Li Qiuyu's awakening time, no more, no less, exactly 2 hours. Cool. Li Qiuyu let out a long breath. Then looked at Chu Xiu and Yi with grateful eyes. When awake. Although she couldn't speak, she was conscious, knowing that Chu Xiu and Yi protected them along the way. Thank you, Yi. Li Qiuyu suffocated Yi, making the latter look embarrassed. Thank you. Snapped. Before Yi finished speaking, a crisp electric shock sounded. She screamed again in pain. Sorry, I didn't mean to. Li Qiuyu was also taken aback. In the panic, I met Yi again. Snapped. No, Qiuyu, thank you, but don't touch me again. Yi wanted to cry without tears. Forget about electricity. The problem is that the current on Li Qiuyu's body is not small, and every time he is electrocuted, it is a shock. And it really hurts. I'm sorry, Yi. I really didn't mean it. Little out of control. Li Qiuyu was full of apologies. She has just awakened her ability, and she still can't control it skillfully. Fine, then. What? I'm going to clean up the zombies. Yi also knew that Li Qiuyu didn't do it on purpose. But she was really scared by the electric shock, so she opened the door and got out of the car and walked towards the villa with a baseball bat. After Yi got off the car, the atmosphere in the car quickly turned awkward. Li Qiuyu lowered her head and didn't dare to look at Chu Xiu at all, because she could feel that Chu Xiu's hot eyes were always looking at her. Li Qiuyu's face was almost visibly red. However, Li Qiuyu didn't know Chu Xiu's focus at this time was actually not on her at all. Name: Li Qiuyu. Gender: female. Talent: Lightning Control LV1. Chapter 16 Upgrade. Lightning Ability LV2. Finally, look at Li Qiuyu month's attribute panel. The joy in Chu Xiu's eyes couldn't contain it anymore. After spending so much thought, I finally got the lightning ability. Chu Xiu. Seeing Chu Xiu staring at him all the time, Li Qiuyu's face was already extremely red. She felt the heat in her cheeks. Just a small reminder. Cough. Give me your hand. Chu Xiu came back to his senses without any detours. He went straight to the road. But I have electricity on me. Li Qiuyu hesitated for a moment, but still stretched out her hand obediently. Chu Xiu did not hesitate. Grab it. At the same time, he shouted in his heart. Copy. Ding. Copy. Successfully. Get talent. Lightning Control LV1. Along with the system beep, a huge energy suddenly poured into Chu Xiu's body. All over the limbs at the same time. An electric light flashed quickly in Chu Xiu's eyes, but only in a flash. With his strong mental power, Chu Xiu mastered the lightning ability with ease, and did not cause such a big movement like Li Qiuyu, who had just acquired the ability. Chu Xiu, did I call you? Looking at Chu Xiu, who was suddenly silent, Li Qiuyu looked nervous. I was afraid that I had called Chu Xiu by myself. But at the same time, she also had some doubts just now. For a moment, Li Qiuyu suddenly felt a strange connection between herself and Chu Xiu. It's as if the current collides, but this feeling was fleeting and soon disappeared. I'm fine. Go to Yi first and see if she wants help. Chu Xiu noticed the doubt in Li Qiuyu's eyes. In order to avoid being noticed by her, Chu Xiu quickly changed the subject. How about you? Li Qiuyu asked. I looked around to see if I missed any threats. Then, be careful. Although a little worried. However, Li Qiuyu still obeyed Chu Xiu's words, got off the car and headed to the villa. After leaving Li Qiuyu month, Chu Xiu drove around to the other side of the community and entered a random villa. Roar. As soon as they entered the villa, two zombies, a man and a woman, rushed over with a roar, but haven't waited for them to get close. Two silver lights ended their lives. System, expand my properties. After ensuring the safety of the surroundings, Chu Xiu said solemnly in his heart. Ding. Name, Chu Xiu system level 1 strength. 72 left square bracket agility. 10 physical. 20 plus 5 energy. 43 plus 10 talent. Magnetic field control LV2 0 thousandths. Giant power LV2 0 thousandths. Lightning control LV1 0/100. Use slot 3/5 experience. 422. Sure enough, if you copy the awakened power, you don't need to awaken it again. Chu Xiu said with satisfaction. In this way, as long as the copy object has completed the awakening, it will directly copy the ability. This saves you from having to wake up again and again. The experience points I have accumulated along the way are just enough to upgrade lightning control once. Chu Xiu said excitedly. System, upgrade lightning control. Ding. Consume 100 experience. Raiden control has been upgraded to LV2. The voice just fell. An energy even larger than before poured into the body like a tide. Limbs and bones all over. Chu Xiu opened his eyes. His pupils were already filled with lightning. Spread your palms. The violent thunder and lightning energy jumps at your fingertips, and the thunder cracks. Just wave. The current in the palm turned into an electric snake and splashed out. It slammed into the opposite wall. Boom. The gravel is splashing. In an instant, the entire room was illuminated with electric light. There was a huge hole in the wall, the edges lingering with a trace of current. A strong smell of burnt electric shock came out. Name, Chu Xiu system level 1 strength. 72 left square bracket agility. 10 physical. 27 plus 7 energy. 60 plus 17 talent. Magnetic field control LV2 Julie LV2 lightning control LV2 0 thousandths. Use slot 3/5 experience. 322. I didn't expect that upgrading the lightning ability would also enhance the physique. Ah, you afraid that your body can't handle the energy? Chu Xiu smiled. Lift up clothes. The standard 8-pack abs are impressive. Lightning control LV2 not only improves mental strength, but also improves physical fitness. But one thing is the same as other abilities, that is, to continue to level up, you need 1000 experience points. First settle down, and then start harvesting experience. Chu Xiu said in his heart. The reason why he chose Yijiang Garden as a refuge is because it is far away from the urban area and is less dangerous, but it is not particularly biased. There are enough zombies and beasts for him to kill. Chu Xiu thought very clearly. Hiding blindly can only be regarded as living. Only by making yourself stronger can you truly survive in this cruel world. Go back. Chu Xiu glanced at the sky. Before you know it, the sky has darkened, and the setting sun is shining down. It's as red as blood. Exudes an eerie sense of foreboding. Back to the villa. The zombies inside had already been killed by Yin Yi and taken out, and even the blood was wiped clean by Yin Yi and Li Qiu who came later. When Chu Xiu entered the house, Yin Yi did not know where to find a bottle of air freshener, and is spraying it everywhere. Don't you know there's something called a whole house air purification system? Chu Xiu walked in, and after looking around in the living room, he found a switch, and turned it on. At this time, the doomsday just broke out, and the power supply in most areas is still normal. After the switch is turned on. Hidden vents in the ceiling work right away. In the villa, the residual smell of blood was quickly dissipated. There is such a thing. Yin Yi was stunned. He quickly put down the air freshener, and ran over to study the switch. Where's Li Qiu? Let's put it in the kitchen to cook. Chu Xiu asked casually, and after getting the answer, he checked in the villa. The villa is huge. From the outside it is 3 floors, but in fact, there are 2 more floors underground. The first floor is the living room. kitchen, nanny room and other areas. The second floor is the guest bedroom, children's room and other areas. The third floor is the master and secondary bedrooms, plus a huge terrace point. The entertainment facilities are all on the negative floor, such as a gym, a constant temperature wine cellar, a bar, a private cinema, and so on. The negative. The second floor is the garage, which leads to the outside by a slope. If I were an ordinary person, I probably wouldn't even have a decent room right now. Chu Xiu couldn't help but sigh. The newly established shelters, without exception, are all in the dilemma of many people and few resources. Even the awakened find it difficult to get a separate room. Not to mention ordinary people. If you choose not to join the sanctuary and become a lone ranger, unless you have the ability to protect yourself like Chu Xiu, there is only one outcome, a dead end. The first night after the end, I don't know how many people will die. Chu Xiu stared out the window. The blood-red sunset was gradually falling. Murmured. Chapter 17. A certain scientific railgun? Question mark. Check out the villa. Chu Xiu hurriedly finished the dinner Li Qiu cooked. I don't know if it's because the awakened eats a lot or Li Qiu's cooking skills are too good. In short, Chu Xiu ate almost 4 times the amount of ordinary people. Still only 7 cents full. Qiu, you are in charge of the vigil tonight. After the meal, Chu Xiu said to Li Qiu, it is good. Li Qiu agreed quickly. Without the slightest hesitation. Unlike Yin Yi, who has a carefree personality, Li Qiu is a very insecure person. She is very afraid that Chu Xiu will treat her as a useless vase and abandon her. Therefore, when Chu Xiu assigned her a task, Li Qiu not only had no opinion, but was even a little happy in her heart. Because this means that he is at least useful in Chu Xiu's eyes. Don't worry, I promise no zombies will come in. Li Qiu clenched her small fists tightly, electric light flashing in her eyes, and assured. Although she just woke up not long ago, Li Qiu has already shown her talent, and now she has a preliminary understanding of her lightning ability. It's almost practical. Don't be so nervous, it's fairly safe here. Chu Xiu looked at Li Qiu with a serious face, and said calmly. Done. Chu Xiu went upstairs alone. Qiu, let's take turns on duty tonight. You will wake me up later at night. Yin Yi did not rush to rest, but ran to Li Qiu's side and said seriously, no need Yi. You're welcome. We are with whom, and you just woke up. Follow Chu Xiu upstairs. The conversation between the two girls gradually faded away. Women's friendships come so fast. Chu Xiu shook his head. After Chu Xiu went upstairs, he did not choose to rest, but came to the open-air balcony on the roof. Under the dark night. There was a cool breeze blowing outside. The wind was mixed with the smell of blood. Hopefully, it works. Chu Xiu stood on the terrace, playing with a coin in his hand, frowning, thinking about something. Theoretically, magnetic field control and lightning control should be interoperable. Electricity generates magnetism. Magnetism generates electricity. Chu Xiu fiddled with the coins and muttered. In fact, when getting the magnetic field to control this ability, Chu Xiu had the idea of using magnetic fields to generate electric currents, but after a simple test, it didn't work. On the one hand, Chu Xiu's magnetic field control level was too low at that time. On the other hand, due to the lack of time, Chu Xiu was not given the opportunity to test repeatedly. But now I don't have to think about generating current. Chu Xiu smiled. Open your palm. The coin is suspended. Then, blue arcs appeared, flickering and jumping between Chu Xiu's fingertips and the coin. Perhaps I can try Sister Cannon's famous skill, the railgun. The principle of the electromagnetic gun is not complicated. In one sentence, use the ampere force of the interaction between the orbital currents to launch the projectile. Mind a move. Magnetic field energy is released. Constrain the magnetic field to simulate 2 guide rails on both sides of the coin that cannot be observed by the naked eye. Then, the magnetic force and current are injected from one of the guide rails and returned from the other end to form a cycle. Whoosh. The moment the loop is formed, the coin in Chu Xiu's hand shot out. Like a bullet, it instantly disappeared into the night without a trace. This is successful. Before Chu Xiu could react, the coin disappeared. Then Chu Xiu took out another coin. Test again. This time Chu Xiu finally saw what happened. At the instant the loop is formed, the loop generates a strong magnetic field. The coins in the two guide rails flew out along the invisible guide rails under the action of the strong magnetic field. The exit speed is close to 1000 meters per second, almost 3 times the speed of sound. Although it did not reach 7 times the speed of sound like the gun sister, the power is enough. The only fly in the ointment is that the coin flying out at supersonic speed quickly rubs against the air, and it burns out within a distance of less than 100 meters. The coin range of sister cannon in the comics is only 50 meters. Ordinary metals are still a bit reluctant to use as projectiles for electromagnetic guns. Chu Xiu said solemnly. Aviation grade titanium alloys, or even tungsten alloys, are the best materials for electromagnetic gun projectiles. Just when Chu Xiu was testing his abilities, it is less than a few kilometers away from Lijiang Garden on the road. An armed vehicle escort and a pickup truck were rampantly heading towards Lijiang Garden. At the rear of the vehicle, Wuyangyang followed a large number of zombies. Zombies at night seem to be more active and aggressive than during the day. It also seems to be faster. If Chu Xiu saw this scene at this time, he would definitely give the people in the two cars a thumbs up. Cowbatch, it's a bunch of ruthless people, dare to swagger out and race at night. Are you really afraid of encountering monsters? Grass. Ah, these beasts crazy. Inside the escort car, a young man with dyed yellow hair, while driving, observes the situation behind through the rearview mirror. Boss, what should I do? These beasts are biting us and won't let go. The boss in Huang Mao's mouth is a strong man and the co-pilot. The strong man's physique is quite exaggerated. Muscles are built up one by one like stones. Fist is full of calluses. The whole person exudes a fierce aura like a beast. Drive your car. There are still 3 kilometers to go. The strong man glanced at the navigation, and his voice was as low as a bull. Location on navigation. It is the Lijiang Garden, where Chu Xiu is located. Oh, Huang Mao nodded. He also looked down at the navigation. Just this look caused him to ignore the obstacles in front of the road. Boom. The next second, the escort car was slammed into an abandoned vehicle in the middle of the road. Fortunately, this is a bulletproof escort vehicle, which weighs several tons and directly hits the abandoned vehicles blocking the road. What the head of labor? How did you drive, Huang Mao? There were several shouts in the carriage of the escort car. Huang Mao ignored it. Just a kick of the accelerator to accelerate and rushed out. However, the pickup truck that followed the escort car almost suffered a disaster. The escort vehicle suddenly slowed down. As a result, the pickup truck behind almost chased after him. Although the driver of the pickup truck stepped on the brakes in time to avoid a rear-end collision, the zombies chased after him. Roar. A raider that Chu Xiu had met before. Roaring at the speed of an ordinary 100-meter race, he rushed over and grabbed the body of the pickup truck. It's hard to believe that this is the speed that a zombie should have. What? Help. There are zombies coming up. In the body of the pickup truck, there was a middle-aged man in a tattered suit. What are you shouting? TMD. The co-pilot of the pickup truck stuck out a bald head and held a shotgun in his hand. Obviously the configuration in the armed escort vehicle. Boom. The shotgun fired. The violent gunshots almost shattered the window glass. A raider who climbed into the car was blasted off half of his shoulder and blood was splashed everywhere. But being a zombie. The injury obviously did not kill it. Roar. The raider roared, jumped directly into the car, and pounced on the middle-aged man. No. Help. Help me. The middle-aged man yelled in a hurry. In the next second, he was thrown down by the raiders, and the screams soon ended. Boom. The bald head fired another shot. Still missed the raider's head. Can you be on time? Don't waste bullets. The driver of the pickup truck yelled angrily when he saw this scene. Grass. Come here if you have the ability. The bald head replied unceremoniously. Finished scolding, he lowered the car window directly, leaned most of his body out of the window, and fired 2 shots at the raider in the car. Boom. Boom. Finally killed the raider in the car with a headshot. What? Old dog, do you see it? Labor and capital shot. The Bald head laughed and sat back, just about to brag, but before he was finished happy, more raiders rushed over point at the same time. Hey point ga, the winged demon's unique roar also came from the top of the two cars. Chapter 18 On the side of the couch, how can I allow others to sleep soundly? The next day Chu Xiu woke up from his sleep, just as a hint of fish belly white appeared on the horizon. Check for conditioned reflexes all around. After confirming that the arrangement is exactly the same as last night, it relaxes. This is a habit he has developed over the years. It's hard to change. Remodel the car today and go collect supplies first. After the apocalypse, all industrial production ceases, and over time, whether it is food, weapons, medicine, or clothing, it will become increasingly scarce. Therefore, the earlier you collect, the better. After a simple shower, Chu Xiu went downstairs. Chu Xiu, you woke up so early. Seeing Chu Xiu, Li Qiu was a little surprised, and continued, wait a while, I'll make you breakfast. No need. Chu Xiu waved his hand. I took a bag of bread I found at the gas station yesterday, opened it and ate it. Go to the living room. Chu Xiu saw Yin Yi sleeping on the sofa. When this girl slept, she was still holding her precious baseball bat. You haven't slept all night? Chu Xiu asked. No, Yi and I took turns on duty and slept for a while. Li Qiu explained in a low voice. She seemed to be afraid that Chu Xiu would blame herself. After all, yesterday, what Chu Xiu said was to keep her alone at night. But Chu Xiu is obviously not so careful. Okay, what happened last night? Chu Xiu asked. Li Qiu started reporting in May. Overall, last night was very peaceful. Some zombies lingered at the gate of the villa for a while, but they couldn't get over the wall, and then they left. Li Qiu didn't even have a chance to do it. By the way, in the early morning, I heard a strange noise. It seems to be coming from the gate of the community, like a crash. Li Qiu thought for a while and said suddenly, crash sound? Chu Xiu frowned, turned and walked outside the villa. When leaving, don't forget to grab a few slices of bread. No way. Now the appetite is indeed a bit big. Roar. Once out of the villa. Immediately, zombies came around. A large number of zombies appeared on the roads of the community that had been cleared yesterday. It should have escaped from other villas. Chu Xiu took a brief glance and started cleaning. You kill ordinary zombies. Experience value +1. You kill ordinary zombies. Experience value +1. You kill the E-level mutant zombie raider. Experience value +10. The prompt sound of reopening was heard again and again. But what makes Chu Xiu strange is that after the night passed, there seemed to be more zombies in the community than when they came yesterday. Even the raiders have encountered several. Wrong. These zombies are not in the community. Soon, Chu Xiu found a clue. He found that the clothes of many zombies did not look like the residents of the villa area at all, but seemed to come from outside. Zombies don't move around for no reason. Someone must have brought them here. Chu Xiu quickly came to a conclusion. With this conclusion, Chu Xiu came to the entrance of the community. There are more zombies here. A big piece of Wuyangyang. This group of zombies was surrounded by a tattered pickup truck. If you look closely, you can find that there are many disabled zombies with broken hands and feet. In addition, there are 2 long red tire marks on the ground. Sure enough, someone came. Seeing this scene, Chu Xiu's eyes became cold. But he didn't rush to look for it, but first turned his attention to the zombie at the door. Just take you to practice your hands. Chu Xiu spread out his hand, the lightning energy gathered in the palm, and the arc jumped at the fingertips. Next second, lightning bolts shot out. Under Chu Xiu's control, every lightning strike precisely hits the zombie's head. The terrifying electrical energy instantly burned their brains. PFFT. You kill ordinary zombies. Experience value +1. You kill. Accompanied by a beep. The zombies fell one by one, and at the same time, exuded a strange smell of burning hair. Compared with the magnetic force that controls the attack of objects, the attack method controlled by lightning is more intuitive and more destructive. Chu Xiu increased the current. Boom. An arm-thick lightning burst out, with a crackling sound. The terrifying the electric current directly penetrated the head of a zombie, leaving a hole the size of a fist, and the electric current spreads out, forming a grid composed of several small lightning bolts. Electric focus all zombies within 5 meters. The piece fell down. You kill. The efficiency is so fast that the system does not even have time to prompt. Cool. Chu Xiu laughed out loud. As soon as his mind moved, the magnetic field energy was released, and the flying knife in his pocket also joined the battle. Zombies fell in pieces, not even within 5 meters of Chu Xiu. The experience points on the Chu Xiu panel are increasing at a speed visible to the naked eye. Less than a few minutes the zombies at the door were cleaned up by Chu Xiu, and the corpses of the zombies covered the entire square, exuding a disgusting smell of blood and electric burn. I have to find someone to help collect the corpse. Looking at the corpses all over the floor, Chu Xiu turned his head and set his eyes on the wheel marks that entered the community. There was a hint of playfulness in his eyes. Side of the couch. How can it be allowed to sleep with snoring? But now that he's here, Chu Xiu doesn't mind finding something to do for these people. Moving along the wheel marks, Chu Xiu finally saw an armed escort vehicle that had smashed into disbelief at the gate of a villa. In the southeast corner of the community. Up and down the body, there was coagulated blood everywhere. The tire seams are full of minced meat. When the wind blows, the smell of blood came close to the villa. Chu Xiu vented out the magnetic field energy. By sensing the biomagnetic field of the human body, Chu Xiu can detect the situation of people in the building through the partition wall. 4 men, one was injured. Across the wall, Chu Xiu sensed the biomagnetic fields of 4 living people, all of them male. One of them had a weak biomagnetic field. Must have been seriously injured. Wait. Sudden pointer. Person's biomagnetic field caught Chu Xiu's attention. Compared with other people, this person's biomagnetic field is very strong, far exceeding the level of normal people. Awakened? Chu Xiu narrowed his eyes. He also has 2 talent slots, which means that he can copy 2 more talent abilities if there is an awakener with good ability among these people. Chu Xiu doesn't mind using another slot. Chapter 19. Alas, you have disappointed me so much. Brother Huang Mao doesn't seem to be good enough. Inside the villa, the atmosphere was very dignified. The man who was called Brother Hu by his subordinates was a strong man who sat in the co-pilot of the escort last night. His real name is Wang Hu. Nicknamed Black Tiger. He is a boxer. It's just that the Black Fist of the underground casino is played. I see Wang, whose voice was low and scary. Done. Get up and walk towards the yellow hair in the corner. When he stood up, his 2 men took a step back in unison. There was a hint of horror in his eyes. Because Wang Hu at this time. It doesn't look like a normal person. I saw that from half of Wang Hu's shoulders to his left arm. Scaly skin similar to reptiles grew, and his left hand even grew out of dinosaur-like claws. It looks like a half human, half lizard monster. Even his left eye turned into an orange vertical pupil similar to a snake. Brother Hu ignored other people's gazes and walked straight to Huang Mao. Huang Mao was the young man who was in charge of driving last night. At this time, he looked very miserable. The left arm was cut off at the root, and only a few pieces of rags were used to bandage it casually. The blood flowed unstoppably. Because of excessive blood loss, there is more gas out and less air in. Tiger. Brother Hu, save me. I don't know if it's a flashback or what. Seeing Brother Hu coming over, the dying Huang Mao actually reacted. Brother Tiger did not answer. He just stared blankly at Huang Mao's severed arm. His nose twitched slightly, and he sniffed the smell of blood. There was a trace of greed in his eyes. Brother Tiger. The dying Huang Mao widened his eyes. He only felt that the tiger brother in front of him was extremely unfamiliar, especially looking at your own eyes, as if looking at food. Brother Tiger wants to eat me. Tiger. Huang Mao was about to speak. A sharp claw pierced his heart and shattered his heart. Then Wang Hu took out his hand as if nothing had happened. Before anyone else noticed, he quickly threw a piece of heart into his mouth. While chewing. A very intoxicated expression appeared on his face. While chewing, a subordinate came over. He didn't see what Wang Hu was eating because of the angle. Brother Who? Are we still broadcasting as originally planned? Or, just, forget it, let's join other people's shelters? The subordinate suggested cautiously. Their original plan was to build a sanctuary near the Yijiang Garden and become the emperor of a return to the soil. As a result, the loss last night was too great. Out of a dozen people, only 4 remained, and when Huang Mao died, only 3 remained. And build a fart shelter, according to plan. Wang, who wiped the blood from the corner of his mouth and stood up slowly. Why, brother Hu, there are only 3 of us. How? To build a shelter? Yeah, brother Hu. Why, both men expressed doubts. Just then, a joking voice sounded from the door. Why? Because you two don't have enough food for him. Chu Xiu stood at the door. He looked at the 3 people in the room with a playful expression. F***K. Who are you? Seeing the sudden appearance of Chu Xiu, Wang Hu's 2 men were startled. Just about to reach for the shotgun next to it. Next second. The 2 shotguns actually rose into the air and were suspended in the air. Caca automatic loading. The guns were aimed at the 2 men. Groove. Damn it. The 2 were too frightened to move. He could only turn his eyes for help to Wang Hu, the only person in the house who was not pointed at by a gun. Is this what the hell you did? Wang Hu was obviously also taken aback by Chu Xiu's methods. The surface was uneventful. In fact, a huge wave has already set off inside. Because all along, he thought he was the only one with special abilities. Name, Wang Hus*X, male, talent, beastization, lizard LV1, irreversible. On the opposite side, the moment Chu Xiu's eyes fell on Wang Hu, his facepalm appeared. After reading it, Chu Xiu couldn't help but be greatly disappointed. I thought it was a powerful talent. I didn't expect it to be a beast, and the focus is on the lowest irreversible beast. Once completely transformed, it will completely become a monster and will never change back to the humankind. This crap. Not to mention occupying a talent slot. Even if it does not occupy the slot, Chu Xiu will not copy it. Ah. You've disappointed me so much. Chu Xiu shook his head. Hate that iron is not steel, said, although Wang Hu is a little inexplicable. But the contempt in Chu Xiu's words is real. You kid is courting death. Feeling insulted, Wang Hu shouted angrily and rushed towards Chu Xiu. Surprisingly, his speed is also far beyond ordinary people. He came to Chu Xiu almost instantly, and his left hand with sharp claws stabbed Chu Xiu in the face. Well, the beastly awakened. It really is very balanced. Chu Xiu did not panic, and even had time to comment on Wang Hu. The voice did not fall. Seeing Wang Hu, who was about to attack Chu Xiu, sudden, like a heavy punch out of thin air, the whole person lost all momentum and fell straight back. There seemed to be a force pulling at his waist. Drag him back. You should have taken off the metal objects from your body. After Chu Xiu finished speaking, the magnetic field energy suddenly increased. Bang! The metal head on Wang Hu's belt suddenly broke off the belt. Like a small cannonball, a heavy hammer hit Wang Hu's chin. Almost flew the King Tiger hammer weighing more than 200 catties into the air. Roar. I'm going to tear you apart. Wang Hu, who felt that he had been humiliated one after another, burst into his heart with anger. The scaly skin on his body spread rapidly, from his arms to half of his body, and the claws became longer. The position of the coccyx has even grown a bulge point like a tail that hasn't grown yet. Roar. Eat. Eat you, both. Of Wang Hu's eyes became the vertical pupils of reptiles in the eyes. There is less and less rationality belonging to human beings, replaced by more brutal beast-like looks. Like you can't help me. Seeing this, Chu Xiu's eyes gradually turned cold. Originally, I planned to keep him and let him clean up the corpse, which is considered waste. It's good now. This guy has no sense anymore. Waste has become utter waste. Not even the last trace of use value. Then you will die. Chu Xiu's voice just fell. The 2 shotguns suspended in the air turned at the same time, aiming at Wang Hu, who was half human and half lizard. Boom, boom. With the gunshot, 2 blood flowers exploded on Wang Hu's body immediately, but Wang Hu did not fall. Because of this, the scaly skin blocked most of the impact, and the remaining power could not cause much damage to him. Roar. Eat. You. After Losing his mind, Wang Hu seemed to feel no pain. The whole person rushed over like a beast. Chapter 20. After finishing the work, you can leave. In the face of Wang Hu, who pounced on him again, Chu Xiu remained motionless. It seems that the claws with the fishy wind do not exist. Roar. Just when Wang Hu was about to attack Chu Xiu, an electric light suddenly illuminated the villa, Zizzy accompanied by a crackling electric shock. Wang Hu was frozen at a position less than 1 meter away from Chu Xiu. His burly body was shaking like a sieve, and an electric current the thickness of his arm was connected to his sharp claws. The unpleasant smell of charred grilled meat gradually emanated from him. Opposite him, Chu Xiu faced Wang Hu with one hand and kept releasing the electric current that was thick in his arm. The other hand is facing the socket on the wall. The current visible to the naked eye is being continuously attracted by Chu Xiu from the socket. Sure enough, lightning control, of course, is not simply the release of electricity. As long as the level is sufficient, let alone the household power grid, it is no problem to control the real thunder. Snapped, one by one, the electrical appliances in the villa broke out and burned out. Until the end the transformer also burned out. The current is finally over. Puff. Wang Hu fell to the ground. The body has been stiffened by electricity, and when it fell, it still maintained its original posture. The clothes were all scorched, and the chest was burned through a large hole by the electric current, exuding a strong smell of scorched meat. Ding. You kill the LV1 awakened. EXP plus 200. Current EXP 612. Chu Xiu was stunned by the sudden sound. Experience. In killing the awakened, Chu Xiu was very surprised. He had tested before. Killing was inexperienced. Even the person who feels the key can only have experience after killing him, after he has completely turned into a zombie. But I didn't expect that there would be experience in killing the awakened, and so much more! 200 experience, equivalent to a 4-headed winged demon. Could it be that awakeners and zombies belong to the same category? Chu Xiu was slightly startled. This is not groundless. After all, except for Chu Xiu, everyone else only awakened after the apocalypse. It is entirely possible to think that they have undergone an evolution. No longer human. Forget it. It's useless to think so much. After all, having experience is a good thing. Chu Xiu shook his head and removed the distracting thoughts. Then look at the other two people in the room. At this time, the two of them were shrinking in the corner, shivering with fear. It's not that they didn't want to run away. The main reason was that the battle ended too quickly, and before they had time to run, their boss, Wang Hu, was already cold. No, it must be burnt, Guru. Seeing that Chu Xiu noticed them, the two swallowed hard. Don't dare to move. Want to die. Chu Xiu looked at the two of them and asked plainly, think. Oh no. I don't want to. There was only fear in their minds, and they almost said the wrong thing, shaking their heads like a rattle. Can you drive? Chu Xiu didn't care about their slip of the tongue, and asked again. Yes. This time, the two reacted. Answered fairly quickly. You'll find a car, preferably a truck, or a pickup truck. First dispose of the corpses at the gate of the community. Chu Xiu's voice just fell. The two moved quickly. Driven by fear, the two behaved quite positively. After finding the car, they immediately started to work. Not even the most basic protective measures. I'm afraid it will be a second slower. Put it on. On the contrary, Chu Xiu brought masks and gloves for them both. Just to labors. If you die before you finish your life, you will lose yourself. Until noon, the two finally loaded all the bodies at the gate of the community into the car in the backs of the two trucks. The bodies were piled up into hills. The stench can be smelled from hundreds of meters away. Finish moving the body. The two, who were tired, hungry and covered in blood, couldn't help but cast their eyes not far away. I saw Chu Xiu sitting in a Rolls Royce, with the air conditioner turned on, the chair folded down, and his eyes closed comfortably. Watch this scene. One of them couldn't help it. Grass. Let's work hard here. He's better. Enjoy it there. You crazy. Can you stop pulling labor and capital if you want to die? Here. Those who complained also reacted. Both of them looked at Chu Xiu with some fear, and they were relieved when they saw that there was nothing wrong. Adjust your mind. With their flattering smiles again, the two walked towards Chu Xiu. Just stand there and don't come here. Seeing the two people who were covered in blood and smelling disgusting approaching, Chu Xiu stopped. Sir, we have already done what you ordered. The two stood there obediently and forced a smile. Well, yes, transport the body out and burn it, and you can go. Chu Xiu was very satisfied with the efficiency of the two and decided to let them go. The two heard Chu Xiu's words. Stunned. Then he reacted and shook his head again and again. No, sir. We are not going. We are not going. We only follow your lead. What kind of dirty work do you have? You can leave it to us. We are very obedient. The two waved their hands eagerly. It's tiring to move the body, but it's safe. They are not fools. Such a simple reason can naturally understand. Rather than being precarious outside, it is better to work here, so that I can survive. Living is more important than anything else. Unnecessary. But Chu Xiu just glanced at the two of them, decisively refused. 1 is not an awakened person, 2 is not a beauty, and 3 is worthless. This kind of person is okay to do some coolies temporarily. It is unnecessary to stay and waste food. No, you can't drive us away. It's a dead end when we go out. See? Chu Xiu unmoved. 1 of them was in a hurry and shouted directly in a questioning tone. The words just came out. He regretted it. Sure enough, as soon as he finished speaking, 2 silver lights flew towards them. Extremely fast. Almost instantly. Then, the silver light stopped abruptly, and there were 2 flying knives glowing with cold light. The tip of the knife was just inches from their forehead. If you don't go, you are now on a dead end. Chu Xiu's tone was still flat. Looking at the flying knife that was close at hand, the two of them remembered that the young man in front of them was not a good man and a woman, but a ruthless man who killed without blinking an eye. How dare you bargain with such a person? Thinking of this, the two felt a chill all over their bodies, involuntarily shivered. Walk. Let's go now. The two finished. Don't dare to stay for a second. He hurriedly ran towards the truck full of corpses, started the engine, and prepared to leave. See the two meet. Chu Xiu retracted the flying knife. Just gave them a piece of advice. Remember to find an open space on the road to burn the body. If a large number of corpses are not disposed of in time, it is easy to breed some unfriendly things. However, the truck's engine seemed to drown out Chu Xiu's voice. The two who left in a hurry did not seem to have heard this advice. Chapter 21. Bring capitalists. Make you work to train you. The two who left from Lijiang Garden drive on the road where they came. 2 trucks drove in tandem on the road full of zombies at the beginning. They were nervous all the way, and the accelerator was all the way down. I dare not slow down, even if I slow down, let alone stop and burn a corpse. Anyway, the bodies are in the back of the car, and it doesn't affect driving. With this thought in mind, the two gradually forgot about the burning of the corpse. As the time goes, gradually, the two found a strange sign. The zombies didn't seem to attack them anymore. I don't know when it started. The zombies on the road suddenly seemed to be blind. Turn a blind eye to them. There is no sign of the slightest attack. Only when the truck passed by would it make 2 symbolic roars. Have you found that these zombies don't attack us anymore? After discovering this, the two became more courageous. Even lowered the windows. Talk out loud. Found. You said. Why is this? Maybe the smell in our car is too heavy. It treats us as the same kind. Hahaha. Make sure the zombies don't attack you anymore. The two completely let themselves go. Reassured and boldly rushed, completely forgetting the mountains of corpses piled up in the car. And at this time, among the corpses, a strange black liquid slowly oozes out. The black water seeps out like there is life, and then climbs along the corpse pile from bottom to top. Right, that is it. The principle is actually very simple. It's just that you are not proficient in your ability to control. On the other side, in the Lijiang Garden, where the zombies have been cleaned up, Chu Xiu is showing Li Qiu how to use magnetic field energy to create electricity. I see. Chu Xiu spread his palms. The invisible magnetic field energy formed several annular magnetic fields, doing reciprocating motion. Zizzy in the next second small electric currents visible to the naked eye appeared in Chu Xiu's palm. This time, Chu Xiu didn't cheat with Raiden control. These currents, in real terms, are generated by the movement of the magnetic field. For Chu Xiu, who has mastered both magnetism and electricity, electromagnetism, magnetism, and electricity are all pediatrics. But in Li Qiu's eyes, this scene seemed to open the door to a new world. Really? Then, if I say that, can I also create a magnetic field? Seeing the electric current in Chu Xiu's palm, Li Qiu looked excited. That's right. Chu Xiu nodded. Can be point. But there is one thing that Chu Xiu didn't say. That is, after his test, the derived energy is not controlled by the original ability. Simply put, without lightning control. Even if Chu Xiu uses the magnetic field to generate electric current, he cannot control it. Electricity is electricity. It's not that you make it, you can control it. It's like you can control a lighter, but you can't control the flame produced by the lighter. If you don't get it right, the flame will burn yourself. The same is true. Even if Li Qiu learns electromagnetism, she will not be able to control the magnetic field like Chu Xiu. But that doesn't mean this feature is useless. On the contrary, in battle, another kind of energy is derived, which can often catch the enemy by surprise. This is also the reason why Chu Xiu directs Li Qiu month, the future goddess of thunder. This potential is enough to make Chu Xiu pay attention. What? I am exhausted at this moment. Yen Yi ran over with sweat on her head. Not the least bit ladylike. Sitting carelessly beside Chu Xiu, he complained as soon as he opened his mouth. Do you know how many trips I made to gather the supplies in the community? Yin Yi snapped her fingers and said angrily, more than 40 times. I'm a weak woman, carrying so many things in large and small bags. I ran back and forth more than 40 times. You really don't feel bad for girls at all. Done. Yin Yi grabbed a 1.5 liter bottle of mineral water from the side, and it dries up in a few sips. See this scene. Aside, Li Qiu, who was just about to comfort Yin Yi, fell silent for a moment. Sister, you don't act like a weak woman at all. After drinking the water, Yin Yi let out a comfortable cry. Then, keep complaining. I found out you are using me as an animal. Yin Yi's eyes were sinister. She really did not expect that Chu Xiu still has the potential to be a capitalist. Dozens of villas. The materials inside were all collected and carried by her alone. Animals can't do that, can they? Don T, get me wrong. If I had treated you as an animal, I would have given you a rest. Facing Yin Yi's complaint, Chu Xiu said lightly. Hearing Chu Xiu's words, Yin Yi's whole person is not well. Feelings are not as good as animals. Okay, no kidding. Chu Xiu became serious. Pointing to a car not far away, he said, see that car? Go and lift it up. Yin Yi looked in the direction of Chu Xiu's fingers, and the whole person became even worse. Because that's a big pickup truck. Ford 150, commonly known as birds of prey. Net weight 2.6 tons. Although Yin Yi doesn't know what a bird of prey is, but she knew that her own strength would never be able to lift this big guy. Go and try. But with the encouragement of Chu Xiu, Yin Yi walked over honestly. Reach out and grab the Ford 150's turf. Hey, then push hard. The 2-ton bird of prey was actually lifted up. Although only half of the body was lifted. But no matter what, Yin Yi succeeded, and it seemed that she still had some spare energy left. That's possible. I'm not that strong. Yin Yi was also taken aback. As a result, when I put down the vehicle, I almost hit the instep. Name, Yin Yi. Gender, female. Talent, Julie LV2. Chu Xiu glanced at Yin Yi's panel and said nothing. After a day of high intensity work, Yin Yi's strength has successfully risen to LV2. The other side. In addition to being surprised, Yin Yi also realized something. I understand, Chu Xiu. You make me work. You are training me. Make me stronger. It Turns out that all this is to make me stronger. Yin Yi, who thought she understood the facts, no longer complained in her heart. Only moved. Really, I cried. I'm sorry, Chu Xiu. I misunderstood you. You are so nice to me. Yin Yi wanted to throw herself directly into Chu Xiu's arms, but seeing Li Qiu on the side, in the end, he simply suffocated. Cough. Cough. You take a break first. Chu Xiu coughed lightly and continued. I'll collect some steel materials later. I'll refit the car and go outside to collect supplies tomorrow. It is said to collect materials, but in fact, it is more to kill zombies and gain experience point. After killing Wang Hu, Chu Xiu already had 612 experience points. Clean up the zombies in the neighborhood. The number has come to 751. Just a little bit. Chu Xiu will be able to upgrade one of the abilities to LV3. Until then, strength will be a qualitative leap. No need to rest. I'll go now. Yin Yi, who was moved by herself, now just wants to help Chu Xiu do more point. Not in the mood to rest at all. By the way, how much steel do you need? Yin Yi asked. Almost pointer. Ton. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 22. Monsters appear. Limbers. Into the night. Inside the villa, Li Qiu and Yin Yi are sorting out the supplies that Yin Yi collected during the day. Compared to last night, it was much quieter outside the villa. The roar of zombies could only be heard vaguely, coming from outside the community. It's okay to drink, but the food is a bit small. There is not much pure water, but there are a lot of red wine drinks, all of which are brands I have never seen before. Yin Yi took a piece of paper and counted the materials piled up in the living room. Expensive red and white wines are stacked in boxes. There are also some coffee and beverages, but there is less pure water. Only a few boxes of foreign brands of mineral water. The cheapest ones are tens of dollars a bottle. Yee, I finished the statistics here. You can write it down. The food is only available for 2 or 3 days, and most of it is fresh with a short shelf life. There is almost no canned food. After Li Qiu month finished counting, he came to Yin Yi and said, is a wealthy area with millions of people starting. The rich people living here have no habit of stocking up food at all. More often, they let their nanny drive to a high-end supermarket a few kilometers away every day to purchase the freshest ingredients. Therefore, Yin Yi searched the entire community but did not find much food, and all the fresh ingredients are collected. Once the power goes out and the refrigerator is gone, it will deteriorate in a few days. There is no shortage of rice. The problem is that you need water for cooking, and there is not enough water in the event of a power outage. Tap water will also stop supplying. Chu Xiu is still in the basement. Well, he said that the car has to be refitted tonight, and I still moved the materials for him. By the way, Qiu, when did you and Chu Xiu start talking? Talk about what? Love. He risked his life to find you. But we didn't. I only had contact with him once before. What? The two women counted the miscellaneous materials piled up in the living room. Unconsciously, he talked about the topic to Chu Xiu. In Li Qiu's hesitant answer, Yin Yi got a piece of information that shocked her. Chu Xiu and Li Qiu are not a couple. Yin Yi, who realized this, was shocked. The following statistical work made frequent mistakes. An idea began to appear in her mind uncontrollably. Nothing lingers. Li Qiu on the side was not much better. Li Qiu, who was already reliant on Chu Xiu, when she learned that Chu Xiu was looking for herself regardless of the risk, was overwhelmed with emotion. Cheeks were hot and red at the same time. Chu Xiu, who was in the underground garage, did not know that the two women upstairs were madly attacking themselves. Him at this time. The vehicle in front of you is being remodeled. The modified vehicle is still the Mercedes-Benz 6X6 he drove before. It's just that the car is now unrecognizable. The whole car is equipped with a thick layer of steel plate, which is thick enough to defend against bullets. and even the windows are welded with protective nets. In order to protect the tires to a greater extent. The 6-wheel eyebrows of the vehicle have been replaced with steel, and they have been extended by more than 10 centimeters. Besides biggest change point, that is, a pure steel wrecker head is installed on the front of the car. Abandoned vehicles blocking the road can be easily rammed. After a set of modifications, the Mercedes-Benz Big G, which was full of off-road wind, has completely turned into a doomsday chariot. There is nothing to see from the body up and down. But Chu Xiu was still a little dissatisfied. The storage space is small. The body has to be extended and closed. Chu Xiu walked around the car and finally set his eyes on the body of the car. The 6x6 version of the Big G is a bit like a pickup truck. There is a small car at the rear, but this space obviously can't hold much stuff. And the open body is obviously not as safe as the fully enclosed compartment. Then Chu Xiu made a move. Several steel plates flew over, twisted and deformed a little in the air, and gradually formed the shape that Chu Xiu wanted. The deformation speed is not fast. Compared with Magneto in the movie, it can be said to be very slow. But no way. With Chu Xiu's current magnetic field control, this speed is already the limit. Squeak. The sound of steel deforming is rather harsh, but Chu Xiu was used to it, and even some liked the sound. Soon, several steel plates were installed on the Doomsday Chariot by Chu Xiu, forming a van-like compartment on the original basis of the vehicle. The connection between the steel plate and the car body is natural. Any welding is better, no gaps. The weight of the modified Big G is almost doubled compared to the previous one, a whopping 4 tons. However, this is still nothing for the V8 engine it is equipped with. The 6-wheel drive system can easily drive this heavy big guy, but the speed is a little slower. Dang, that should work. Chu Xiu tapped the modified car body with his hand and nodded with satisfaction. The importance of doomsday chariots like this in the end times is self-evident. Not only transport, more importantly, it allows you to go further afield. How far can you go with just one pair of feet? As for ordinary vehicles, in many places it is not even comparable to walking. Go to the surrounding area to collect supplies tomorrow and raise the magnetic field control to LV3. By the way, Chu Xiu glanced at his more than 700 experience points and made up his mind. Done. Get up and go upstairs. At the same time. It is a small town about 10 kilometers away from Yijiang Garden. A truck full of corpses crashed into a house on the side of the road. The vehicle is in a roll of a state. The piles of bodies poured out of the body of the car. There was blood all over the place. The pungent bloody smell can be smelled hundreds of meters away. Not far away, there was a truck that crashed into a traffic light at the intersection. The body was also full of bodies, but the strange thing is that the bodies in this car are all missing arms and legs, as if there was something. The arms and legs of these corpses were removed. There are some strange imprints around the van, handprints, footprints, huddled together in a disorderly manner. In a private house less than 100 meters from the crash site, a man covered in blood hid inside. Monster. An adult in his 20s. He actually hid under the bed in the bedroom like a frightened child. Head covered. Body trembling. It seemed that he had experienced a great fear. Soon, a series of strange footsteps entered the house. Don't come. The man looked at the door in fear, praying in his heart. Bean-sized beads of sweat kept flowing. The strange footsteps were getting closer all the way to the door of the room where the man was hiding. Next second, 6 pairs of palms of different sizes suddenly grabbed the door frame. The man's pupils widened. A figure that could not be terrifying was reflected in his pupils. It was a terrifying monster composed of countless human limbs. Chapter swollen. The next day, early in the morning, Chu Xiu drove the Doomsday Chariot modified last night, carrying Yunyi and Li Qiuyu, leaving Yijiang Garden. The destination of this trip is a large supermarket a few kilometers away. This is where the wealthy nanas shop for ingredients. There is more than just variety of food there. The quality is also good. Although it is good to have some food in the Doomsday. But Chu Xiu felt that he still had to pursue a little bit. At least he couldn't treat himself badly. I will deal with the zombies when I encounter them, and the 2 of you are responsible for collecting supplies. Understand? In the car, Chu Xiu specifically asked. As soon as this word comes out, the 2 women immediately shook their heads. No, we want to help you. That's right, you can't keep protecting us, and we are also awakened. It's no problem to deal with zombies. Both Li Qiuyu and Yunyi said they wanted to help. Point on the one hand, they feel that they are also awakened ones, and they will not hold back. Chu Xiu. Point on the other hand, she was simply afraid that Chu Xiu would be tired. Point I want to help Chu Xiu share some. Stop talking nonsense. I ask you to collect materials, and you will collect materials. When you need to fight, I will naturally arrange it. Chu Xiu's tone was serious. Are you not letting you fight because you are afraid of getting hurt? That's for fear of you stealing experience. The difference between labor and capital is 400. One more ability to upgrade. I'm sorry. Understood. See? Chu Xiu is serious. Li Qiuyu and Yunyi immediately stopped refuting and nodded obediently. The night passed. The attitude of the two towards Chu Xiu has changed significantly. Li Qiuyu, needless to say, it is never an exaggeration to describe it with words. The focus is on Yunyi. She was originally carefree, but now in front of Chu Xiu, she actually noticed her image. Began to intentionally or unintentionally lady up. Chu Xiu didn't pay much attention to the changes of the second daughter. Drive carefully. The modified doomsday chariot, like a steel beast, is driving on the road after the apocalypse. The front of the wrecker shovel, able to crash directly into abandoned vehicles blocking the road. Roar, roar. The zombies on the road were attracted by the silence. Before he could get close, he was killed by one after another of silver light. You kill ordinary zombies. Experience value +1. Experience value +1. Hey. Doomsday Chariot's rampage on the road. It quickly attracted the attention of the winged demons hovering in the air, accompanied by the iconic roar. Swoop down. Whoosh. But before it could get close, a silver light flew towards it. With previous experience, Chu Xiu directly controlled the flying knife and shot at the weak point of the winged demon. The junction of the eye socket and the bird's beak. PFFT, accompanied by the sound of sharp knives penetrating into the flesh. The winged demon that swooped down was directly pierced by the flying knife, and half of his head was opened. Then, the uncontrolled body is planted in front of the road. Then he was run over by a doomsday chariot galloping over. Dang dang. Twice turned into a flat puddle of meat. You kill the E-level beast, winged demon, experience value +50. It's still a lot of experience with this thing. That being said, Chu Xiu did not spare the zombies on the road. It will even deliberately drive the vehicle to the road section with more zombies. Mosquitoes are meat, no matter how small. You kill ordinary zombies, experience value +1, current EXP 917. Before reaching the destination, the experience points are almost accumulated. Really, rather than just hiding, it's better to take the initiative. Seeing that he was about to accumulate enough experience points, Chu Xiu was in a good mood. At this time, an extremely fat figure suddenly appeared in front of the road. Be careful. The co-pilot Li Qiuyu woke up. Hearing Li Qiuyu's reminder, Chu Xiu also noticed the figure ahead. A huge fat zombie. It looks about 500 or 600 pounds. The bulging belly is almost dragged to the ground. What is this thing? Chu Xiu recognized the identity of this thing, frowned, and gave directions. Decided to choose to bypass Swollen, a very difficult mutant zombie. Thick fat has super defensive ability. However, the reason why Chu Xiu chose to detour is not because of how strong its defense is, but because this guy will explode after taking a certain amount of damage, not to mention a wide range. It will also release a lot of toxic gas. Chu Xiu didn't want to suck that thing into his lungs without protection. Walk. Remember to stay away from this thing in the future. Chu Xiu's voice just fell. The doomsday chariot was also spotted by the bloated people ahead of the road. Roar. It growled. The fat body moved. Not fast. And every step, the exaggerated fat will keep shaking. Some pustules on the body surface were squeezed. Disgusting white substance was shed. You. So ugly. The two women unanimously expressed disgust for the bloated. Even if Chu Xiu doesn't remind, they will also stay as far away from this thing as possible. Here, the swollen man moved. Seeing that he could not catch up with the doomsday chariot. Stopped. Open your mouth wide open. Roar. A dark green liquid was ejected from the mouth of the swollen, but the range is a bit short. Instead of attacking the vehicle that Chu Xiu was driving, it fell onto ordinary zombies. Zizzy in an instant, the two zombies were corroded to nothing but bones. Crash fell down. See this scene. Chu Xiu is not bad. He has long known that the bloated has long range attack methods. Yin Yi and Li Qiu were startled. Do zombies have long range attacks, especially Yin Yi? She feels that the whole person is not well. Zombies can attack from a distance. She could only play melee with a baseball bat. GIF. Chu Xiu seemed to have guessed Yin Yi's thoughts and threw her a pistol. If it's not enough, there's a shotgun in the trunk. These firearms are Chu Xiu's trophies, although he himself can't use it. But still stayed. After getting rid of the slow bloat, Chu Xiu turned the other way, returned to the right path, and headed towards a supermarket again. Along the way, Chu Xiu continued to clean up the zombies on the road while driving. You kill the E-level mutant zombie raider, experience value +10. You kill ordinary zombies, experience value +1. You kill the E-level beast, wing demon, experience value +50. As you get closer to the supermarket, Chu Xiu frowned gradually. You kill the E-level mutant zombie sound seeker, experience value +10. Looking at another mutant zombie, it fell under the flying knife that he controlled. Chu Xiu's expression became more serious. There are too many mutant zombies and beasts. Realizing this, Chu Xiu slowly released the accelerator and slowed down the vehicle. Chapter 24 Magnetic Field Control Upgrade. Corpse Dog. This last kilometer from the supermarket the total number of zombies has not changed much, but among them, the proportion of mutant zombies is several times higher. Not only that, there are even more beasts from a long distance. Chu Xiu could see a dozen or so black figures hovering in the sky not far away. Although not very clear, but if there is no accident, it should be Wing Demon. What's the matter, Chu Xiu? Li Qiu and Yin Yi noticed the vehicle slowing down. They all looked at Chu Xiu. The beasts have begun to spread out of the city. Chu Xiu's tone was flat. As time goes by, more and more zombies will mutate, and the beasts in the city will also spread outside the city. Chu Xiu knows that all this is bound to happen. I just didn't expect it to come so quickly. According to this trend, Yijiang Garden may not be around for long. We must seize the time to become stronger. A trace of solemnity flashed in Chu Xiu's eyes. But in just a moment, it turned back to calm and insipid. Depress the accelerator. The vehicle began to speed up and continued to drive in the direction of the supermarket. You kill ordinary zombies, experience value +1. You kill the E-level mutant zombie raider, experience value +10, current EXP 1002, along with another raider. He died under the flying knife controlled by Chu Xiu. The experience value finally broke through the 1000 mark. Upgrade. Magnetic field control. Without the slightest hesitation, Chu Xiu decisively chose the magnetic field control that accompanied him the longest. Ding. Consume 1000 experience. Upgrade. Magnetic field control. The voice just fell. An even greater amount of energy poured into the body than ever before. The energy is pouring back like seawater. It filled up all limbs and bones in almost an instant. Chu Xiu feels that his mind has become extremely active. It seems that the first half of my life was half asleep and half awake, and now I really wake up. Is this the control of the magnetic field? Chu Xiu stared ahead. Between heaven and earth, the dense magnetic field threads are clearly visible. It's as if you can reach out and touch it, even change it. Among them, the largest magnetic field comes from the earth under your feet, from this blue planet. In the near future, I will even be able to manipulate the magnetic field of this planet. Chu Xiu suddenly had a kind of enlightenment. He was sure that he would be able to accomplish this feat. System, expand my properties. After the upgrade was complete, Chu Xiu opened his own properties panel. Name, Chu Xiu. System level 1 strength, 72 agility, 10 physique, 27 energy, 115 plus talent. Magnetic field control LV3, 0/10,000. Julie LV2, lightning control LV2, use slot 3/5 experience. to unsurprisingly, the next upgrade of magnetic field control will require an additional 0 of experience point to this. Chu Xiu did not complain at all compared with the experience consumed. The strength improvement brought by the upgrade can be described as an exaggeration. Not only is the paper data nearly doubled over 100 energy, more importantly, Chu Xiu feels that his ability to control the magnetic field has undergone a qualitative change before the ability is upgraded. If you want to change the shape of the metal, you still need to concentrate. And now, Chu Xiu felt that with just one thought, he could turn a car into a twist. This feeling is like never before. It's just an ability. I don't know what will happen when the lightning control is upgraded to LV3. Well, let's talk when we have enough experience. Chu Xiu shook his head slightly. Get rid of the jumbled thoughts in your head. The attention returns to reality. Chu Xiu, have your abilities improved? Did you notice it? Chu Xiu's voice just fell. The two girls nodded in unison. There was lingering fear in his eyes. A terrible energy fluctuation suddenly appeared in you just now. We thought something was wrong with you, Li Qiuyu explained. It's really scary. I felt like I couldn't breathe. Yan Yi added. In front of that energy, she felt like a boat in the ocean. As if it was about to be overturned in the next second. Fine. It's just that the ability has improved. Chu Xiu explained. Hearing this, Li Qiuyu and Yan Yi were relieved, and at the same time, they also had a doubt. How strong is Chu Xiu now, in the eyes of the two? Chu Xiu is already an existence that cannot be chased. When can I help you? Looking at Chu Xiu, who was cleaning up zombies while driving, Li Qiuyu had a question in her heart. You can use your abilities more, and you can speed up the speed of improvement, especially you, Qiuyu, as your ability grows. It's not weaker than mine at all. As if hearing Li Qiuyu's heartfelt voice, Chu Xiu said suddenly. Hear Chu Xiu's words. Li Qiuyu's beautiful eyes brightened again. Well, I will definitely become stronger, Li Qiuyu said seriously. What about me? How will my abilities grow? Yan Yi looked expectant and wanted to get a positive answer from Chu Xiu. That's it. Not bad anyway. Chu Xiu finished. Regardless of Yan Yi's dazed face, she continued to clean up the zombies and beasts along the way. LV3 magnetic field control point let Chu Xiu control the number and range of flying knives several times. From the original 5 or 6 flying knives, it has directly turned into a control of more than 20 flying knives at one time. The control range has also changed from tens of meters to more than 100 meters. For a moment, more than 20 flying knives formed a harvesting net for zombies. A streak of silver light. The zombies near the vehicle are harvested in pieces. You kill ordinary zombies. Experience value +1. You killed the E-class mutant zombies you killed. You kill. The prompts are loud and clear. The zombies fell in pieces, and the experience points that had just been used up were soaring again. This efficiency is so fast that the lawnmower is ashamed at such efficiency. The speed of the vehicle is also much faster. Soon. The figure of the supermarket came into view. Wait, that's a corpse dog. At this time, Chu Xiu noticed from a distance the entrance of the supermarket. A red-skinned canine creature hovering impressively. It is about the same size as a normal hunting dog. But the body surface is hairless, bare, with only a layer of blood-red skin. It looks like it's covered in blood. Terrible. Chapter 25. When the two of you are fighting, can you concentrate? Dog thing, let's meet again. Look at the red figure guarding the door of the supermarket. Chu Xiu's eyes became extraordinarily cold. Past life, this beast made him suffer a lot. Now, it's labor and capital to hunt you down. If the magnetic field control is not upgraded, Chu Xiu may not be able to play this package. But now, Chu Xiu has absolute certainty. Despite this, Chu Xiu didn't get close for the first time. Because he knows corpse dogs are ferocious beasts that live in groups and never appear alone. Many times, when you see a corpse dog, it means you are surrounded by it. Chu Xiu looked around. Sure enough, in the surrounding buildings, the same red figure flashed by. If nothing else, the beasts might have already been ambushed when the doomsday chariot came over. That's right. Unlike zombies, beasts are intelligent. Most are quite cunning. This is one of the reasons why they are more difficult to deal with than zombies. As the vehicle approached, the corpse dogs that were ambushing around did not attack. Chu Xiu knows the bastards are waiting to get out of the car. As you get closer to the supermarket point in the buildings on both sides of the road, the flashing red figures became more and more frequent. A pair of strange white pupils hiding in the shadow of the building. He looked at Chu Xiu's group as they approached slowly. They are not in a hurry. Compared to attacking now, they prefer to wait for the prey to come out of the iron box before making a move. These dogs are still so cunning. Chu Xiu's eyes were cold, point ready for battle. Be careful, Chu Xiu. I feel something is wrong with the dog in front of me. It seems like it seems to be deliberately leading us over. At the same time, Li Qiu actually noticed the ambush of the corpse dog. Chu Xiu glanced at her a little surprised. Point at any rate, she was able to see through the ambush through experience, and this girl actually noticed something was wrong at a glance. Point it can only be said that she is indeed the goddess of thunder in the future. Point insight is so sharp. Fine, we'll get off the bus together later. You and Yunyi stand together and protect yourself. Chu Xiu finished. Point a foot on the brake. Point in the harsh braking sound. The vehicle stopped meters away from the supermarket. In trance. Point until this time. Point the 50 corpse dog guarding the door of the supermarket. Point only then did he slowly get up, as if he had just discovered Chu Xiu and his group. His mouth was full of fangs. Lean forward. Take a fierce offensive stance. But Chu Xiu knew that it was just pretending, and it was not it that really launched the first round of attacks, but other corpse dogs lurking around. Get off. Look around. After speaking, Chu Xiu opened the door and got out of the car. Li Qiu and Yunyi also followed closely, standing together as Chu Xiu instructed. Roar. Almost at the moment when the three got off the bus, a roar came from the building on the left. Point the sound came from the left. Point a dark shadow rushed out from the right. Point fly towards Chu Xiu. Oh, it's this trick again. Chu Xiu snorted coldly and didn't look back. Point dozens of flying knives were like sharp arrows, shooting at the incoming shadow. Roar. The corpse dog is quite fast. Point seeing the incoming flying knife, the body was moving at a high speed, and it was actually able to turn the direction. Tail flick. Forcibly offset the direction, avoiding the trajectory of the flying knife. But the next second, these flying knives suddenly changed direction in the air, complete a sharp turn, hit the attacking gal dog from behind. Puff. A sharp blade pierced the red skin of the gal dog. Point then, under the control of Chu Xiu, these sharp blades started to cut horizontally, as if someone were pulling them. Directly dismember this corpse dog. Stab it. Blood and internal organs spilled out. Point flowing all over the place. Copperhead. Iron tail. Tofu waste. Although corpse dogs are fierce beasts, they also have some characteristics of dogs. The soft belly is where they are most likely to be hurt. Roar. The corpse dog's vitality is quite tenacious. With its belly ripped open, it fell head first, but did not die on the spot, and was still kicking and kicking. Point the next second, the flying knife controlled by Chu Xiu burrowed into its body, like a meat grinder. Shake its viscera to shreds. You kill a D-level beast corpse dog. Experience value plus 100. Roar. Hoo ho ho. Chu Xiu just got rid of this corpse dog. It's only 2 or 3 seconds before and after. The corpse dogs lurking around, without giving any breathing time, rushed out in an instant. A full dozen heads, from all directions, all angles, roaring, pounced on the three of Chu Xiu. Chu Xiu, be careful. After Yunyi finished speaking, she took the lead in attacking a corpse dog. The baseball bat in her hand has been upgraded by Chu Xiu. Point changed from hollow to solid. Point the material is also changed from ordinary metal to high strength steel for the A-pillar of the car. Bang. Go down with a stick and hit the corpse dog's head firmly. Just hear a muffled sound. The corpse dog was shot and flew out several meters away, but no head bloomed. Sigh. Is this thing's head made of metal? As soon as a stick went down, Yunyi felt her hands go numb. Point at this time. Point another corpse dog pounced. Be careful. Li Qiu immediately released a current, directly knocked down the attacking corpse dog. However, the fallen corpse dog just shook his head and got up again. Their weak spot is in the waist. Chu Xiu left a sentence and ignored the battle between the two. Under his control, more than 20 flying knives turned into streaks of silver light, circling around at high speed. Once it finds an opportunity, the flying knife will turn instantly and pierce the body of the corpse dog from the side, grind their guts from the inside. You kill a D-level beast corpse dog, experience value plus 100. You kill a D-level beast corpse dog, experience value plus 100. With one corpse dog after another fell. The remaining corpse dogs, seeming to understand Chu Xiu's attack method, began to lower their stances. The attack frequency has also become faster. Often in an instant, there will be 3 or 4 corpse dogs trying to attack together from different directions. Don't give Chu Xiu the slightest respite. Roar. A corpse dog circled behind Chu Xiu. With a sudden force, he opened his bloody mouth and flew towards the back of Chu Xiu's neck. Chu Xiu, be careful. For a moment, Yin Yi and Li Qiuyu both reacted. Li Qiuyu exerted her abilities to the extreme and released a 3-fingered lightning bolt. Shoot at the Gowl dog that attacked Chu Xiu. Yin Yi was even more outrageous and directly threw his only weapon, a baseball bat. Chu Xiu, who found this scene, was speechless. Can you be more attentive when you two are fighting? End of this chapter. Thank you very much for reaching the end. Don't forget to like. Looking for more exclusive content and immediate access? Subscribe to our Patreon. Remember, every like, subscription, or donation encourages us to continue. Thanks to everyone. See you in the next video.